Okay, all right. We're back from the closed session. We have no reportable action. We will now recess for another, after coming back from this recess, we'll recess for another 12 minutes until 5 p.m. when we will have the workshop, which will consist of the presentation and discussion on Fresno County Selma homelessness priorities. All right, with that, we're back from our recess after our recess, and we will now start our workshop on which will consist of a presentation and discussion regarding Fresno County and Selma homelessness.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. At the request of the council, staff has coordinated this workshop, and we have invited our partners from the County of Fresno, and I'd like to introduce the folks from the county that are currently in attendance. First of all, Mr. Paul Nerlin, the Chief Administrative Officer for the County of Fresno, Sonia De La Rosa, Yvette Quiroga, and Lena Thatcher, who are all involved with affordable housing and homelessness prevention in the county. And so Ms. De La Rosa has prepared a presentation, and I'd like to invite her to begin, but I also want to let the council know that we have staff who are prepared to also provide the council and the public with an update on their activities with regard to homelessness prevention and calls for service. De La Rosa?
Am I live? Okay. Good evening, and thank you for inviting me to participate. I try not to bang this off here. I apologize for that. Our presentation, I hope I'm going to be brief, but of course, if there's any questions, please let me know. There's always items that I could follow up on or send you additional. I'd like to begin with a recap of the now closed county-funded COVID-19 emergency shelter at the Super 8. In 2021, we had 22 households with 44 individuals at the site. By the end of September 2021, we only had a few households that declined services. Through the rehousing process, we confirmed that over 90% of the households were from the city of Selma, or 19 of the 22 households. And through engagement, we learned that almost every household preferred to remain in the community that they were from. In 2019, the Board of Supervisors and the 15 incorporated cities within the county of Fresno adopted 14 priorities to address homelessness. These were focused on jurisdictional boundaries, transportation, outreach, housing, data, direct services, and the preservation of public health and public safety. Since 2019 and through the COVID-19 public health emergency, the priorities were implemented and the following are accomplishments. I'll just focus on 3 of them. It was improved coordination between jurisdictions across the county, a dedicated outreach team roving rural and unincorporated areas of the county, including county islands, and a structured funding and service discussion and decisions. September 2021, virtual meetings began with the cities and with input from the counties, the county departments of behavioral health, public health, and social services, information was gathered to update the priorities. In addition, details about existing services with the cities were shared. Today, your consent agenda includes a resolution to support the County of Fresno's resolution regarding homelessness priorities adopted by the Board of Supervisors on March 22nd of 2022. The updated priorities include outreach, relocation and sanitation, transportation, safe shelters, triage centers, transitional and affordable housing, wraparound services, and job placement and training. These priorities will be used to address homelessness countywide. Next slide. Now I will focus on our outreach team. The Kingsview team is funded through the combination of state and federal dollars and provides services in rural cities and unincorporated areas on behalf of the county. August 2021, the team conducted an informal count of persons experiencing homelessness in rural communities. 50 individuals were identified within the city of Selma. As of last week, 20 individuals have engaged the team. Slide 8, sorry. The team engages with individuals where they are at and provides access to emergency shelter and transportation, connection to public assistance, links persons to housing and mental health services, and other resources. This team, next slide. This team works effectively in communities through partnerships with local law enforcement. The team tracks information to help the county better serve those experiencing homelessness and has been engaging between 15 to 25 unduplicated clients monthly in rural communities. Through cross-sector coordination, the county will continue to address homelessness. The multi-agency response to community homelessness, or MARCH, will coordinate resources regionally and cross-jurisdictionally. Attract private funding to support community-specific programs. MARCH includes a rural representative selected from the by the Fresno Council of Governments. And that representative at this time is Nicole Zaba with the City of Reedley. Now joining me today is Yvette Quiroga with the county's Department of Public Works and Planning to provide an update regarding the Home American Rescue Plan program funding.
Everyone, it's nice to see you in person. I think last time I was on vacation and I was able to join you guys in Zoom for a little while, and I'd rather be in person. And we were invited to this just to talk about the homeless program. So I'm Yvette Quiroga. One of my many hats right now is the manager of the affordable housing programs for Fresno County. And we'd like to come later to talk about in general about just affordable housing. But today we're going to focus on the home ARP allocation that the County of Fresno with its partner cities was recently awarded. So the County of Fresno received $4.2 million in American Rescue Plan allocation funds, specifically through the home program, which you're one of our partner cities. And that being said, this money has very specific requirements, as most of our federal funds do, and it has to service qualifying populations. And that qualifying populations are individuals or households who are homelessness or risk of homelessness and other special vulnerable populations. Some of the activities that we're able to utilize that $4.2 million is to do tenant-based rental assistance. Most of our home funds are specifically for housing, and that's what you guys are a part of and we utilize the funds for. But this funding actually allows us to be able to pay for supportive services, but very limited supportive services just for the first couple of years if we fund a program. But the majority of the funds are to be used for housing of homelessness. Additionally, what we can use it for is acquisition development of what's called non-congregative shelters or rental units. So we're not to necessarily do a homeless shelter, but to do something where the tenants can have their individual residence or, like their own private room, or more likely an actual rental unit, which is what we're supposed to figure out what's the best use of the funds. Population, or the people that these funds are for, is going to be people who are homeless or at risk of homelessness, or anyone who's fleeing or attempting to flee domestic violence. Also, we have the populations that there are subpopulations within those groups, or human trafficking. Sorry, I forgot the human trafficking. So it's homeless, risk of homelessness, domestic violence, or human trafficking. Those are the populations that this money must service. But additionally, they would like us to give priority possibly to households who are from veterans family populations or other who are already being assisted through other homeless programs. And that maybe they need to come out of transitional housing to more permanent housing, if that's what we end up building. So the county, when we were invited to this, we was a little bit early. We are planning on coming and visiting all of our cities and conducting several surveys and interviews with agencies that provide homeless services, so we can create what's called a home allocation plan. And that plan is going to say, what are the needs of Fresno County partner cities, along with the county, and how to utilize these $4.2 million. And so we will be coming back to your city to get more in-depth questions that we're establishing right now, so we can see what your needs are, if these funds can be utilized in your city. It's only $4.2 million. It's to service our, at that point, I believe, was 6 partner cities. No, it was for the 7. So the 7 partner cities, depending what year the cities join. So I apologize. So it's for the 7 partner cities and the county. So I anticipate with the $4.2 million, the most we can fund might be 2 programs or 2 projects, or we might just fund 1, depending on what our allocation plan discovers are the needs of our partner cities and the county. And so I know it's just a real brief overview of those funds, but that's another program that the county will be able to assist in fighting homelessness. there any questions at this time?
In regards to, when you're looking at the 7 cities, will you take into account population density and, analysis of what the city has to provide to show that maybe we have more homelessness than other cities? Or
We're gonna look at where the homeless needs are the greatest, and I was really excited to hear that Sonia is working on doing some analysis in the county, so we're gonna be partnering together. We're also gonna be exploring partnerships within the county, with Department of Social Services, the Department of Behavioral Health, and the Continuum of Care. Because as I mentioned, let's say we were able to build something with $4.2 million, that is not much with the cost of construction. I envision if we were to build just one project or to do acquisition rehab, maybe a 4-plex, 8-plex. But the most important part is this clientele requires a lot of supportive services. We need to make sure that whatever housing you're providing them comes with those resources to help them move up and go on. And so we need to make sure we find partners that can provide that.
well,
Housing
follow,
is just one piece of it. So wherever we can find supportive services in a city that's able to help us with that, or agencies that can provide that, that's going to elevate that project or program in that city.
well, follow-up question so then you are going to be looking at cities that have those types of services already acquiring that, so it'll help be a unit, a combined.
One of the things that we have to do in every project that we fund, because we fund the apartments that we do and all the other things here, we have to look at capacity and the availability of that program to be run successful and meet all of our requirements. So we definitely want to find agencies that have a track record that are able to do that. We want to find a developer or the owner of the property that can maintain that. And homelessness has special needs. They're not just regular developers, as I mentioned. So it's very important that we work collaboratively with all of our partners that really address the needs of this population. Other questions?
I have a quick question. In your presentation, you mentioned we have to date, Selma has 50 homeless. Is that
That
correct?
money was, I'm sorry, that number was captured last year in August. 50 individuals were identified. Our outreach team travels throughout the cities. Primarily the 13 of the 15 cities within the county of Fresno and unincorporated areas as well. For Selma, they did identify 50 individuals and they've engaged 20 of them, meaning that those individuals have received some sort of service from the outreach team. Many at times they'll decline them or they'll continue engaging them with the hope that they'll engage into services, but we 20 that have in fact engaged. One of the things that we do want to, work on is perhaps working with your police department. I do have our outreach team come out because that usually helps us identify where the individuals are currently at. Otherwise, as we receive complaints, we deploy our outreach team to those areas.
Now, I just want to confirm, we had other services like MAP and the resource centers here in Selma that also assisted. Do we still have them?
Yes, so the meeting that we had virtually in September covered those programs that were available in the city. And one of the actually covers those services. We had individuals from those providers actually speak to the services that they're providing in this community. Those do continue. One of the things that we want to do in the near future, and we've already identified a consultant for, is provide a needs assessment of those cities with the larger population of homelessness. Your city is one of them, Reedley's another, and then City of Sanger. Those are the 3 that we've identified for the consultant to speak with to gather additional information as to what services would be needed to provide to have them exit homelessness, essentially. We know that there's always a concern with opening a site that will serve population. And so we want to make sure that it's something that works for your city and also for the people that we are trying to house. But one of the slides does include it and it lists the different services. Turning Point actually provides mental health services in your community. But we have our outreach team come through and they're we do have continuum of care services out here. MAP, as you mentioned, which I believe Like the contract with the superintendent of schools for mental health clinicians in the
I'm glad you mentioned Turning Key. Now, is that a service that is strictly provided here in the city of Selma for mental health?
The Turning Point is a vendor that is contracted for mental health services. They're specifically contracted for this area, for your city. There's other contracts throughout the county, depending on the area. But for your city specifically, it would be Turning Point. They
Reas-
work with our outreach team as well.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is because there was an incident 2 weeks ago with a stabbing at the Schaefer Park where the girls softball was having their softball league or their softball games. And apparently there was an individual that went in the restroom and stabbed another individual. And from what they were telling me, I don't know all the details, but they were saying that possibly this individual was a homeless that had mental health issues. But the PD was called out, the PD came out and caught the individual. This was very, very scary for a park, our children that play baseball or softball, and this person is in the restroom. I mean, it could have been anybody. It was an adult individual that was stabbed. But it could have been a child. And those are huge concerns of our citizens that what are we going to do? Because it's becoming more and more violent in our city. And like I said, I don't know the whole detail, but that's what they've mentioned to me. And I received several calls on that situation.
Department of Behavioral Health has a team that responds, and I'm not sure if have a team that actually has mental health clinicians that respond to those types of violent incidents. So I'm not sure if they would have been, called for that, or if it's a resource that they would have accessed once they reached the jail. In terms of individuals needing mental health, though, those resources are available, and we're actually working on developing a provider list by community so that your community has that list and knows who to contact when you have those contacts based on what the need is. Through our conversation with your remember, that was one of the things that was identified as, hey, it would be great to have a contact person that we could just call rather than going through the regular process. And that's something that we're working on right now. The majority of the services are through the Department of Behavioral Health. And so that it would be key to have them confirm all of the contracts that deliver those services here to your community. Provide that to your staff, and that way it can be shared.
Thank you.
Couple of questions. One is on a positive note, I actually had to use the services of our police department, and they contacted me. They were able to connect me with Turning Point, and we got the individual housed. And a lot of the times, if you're not understanding like their needs or where they need to go, you're not going to know how to help them. And on a personal note, it was my nephew. My nephew came knocking on my door and, yeah, I'm homeless. He went through certain things and down on his luck, he has a lot of issues, a lot of mental health issues. And, through the collaboration and the just communication with, the police department and with Turning Point, I think I even contacted Map Point as well. And, he got the services that he needed. Extensive care. He couldn't just go into a shelter, for 30 days and then let's get you rehabbed or what have you. It was a whole mental health. Now he's in a hospital, he's getting the 24-hour care that he needs. He's off the streets, so I really appreciate, the services that we do have here. Again, not everybody has that experience that knows what to do, right? I'm fortunate enough to work in that area. So I know, like, I can start contacting, like, I call you guys, I may call Doreen, from my work, and she gets me or whoever I need to help, right? As a matter of fact, I had someone just contact me this weekend. because they know where I work and they know, we had a family of 4 that was evicted. She, mom with 4 boys, a lot of the places can't house her because her sons are over the age of 9, and so there's all these different obstacles. And so I believe wholeheartedly that all of this has to be a collaboration. It can't just be one agency. It can't be not here, not in my neighborhood, because that's how we get those services. That's how we get the help. And that's how these people get the help that they need, because it might just be that lending hand, and they may not need to go to, a mental health hospital. They may just need that extra spiritual guidance, that extra give me a chance type of thing. So the other question I had was, or comment, the tenant-based rental assistance, that's through home. That's not like a Section 8 or it's through the
That's
home program.
one of the uses that we can use the money for. We haven't identified how we're going to use it. So if that comes up as the greatest need, then we might go in that direction. But the other use is actually to, like I said, find an apartment complex or something like that. So those are just one of the uses. So right now that money hasn't been allocated in any way. So we plan to spend like the next 6 months or so doing, like I said, those interviews. We're gonna come back to the city councils and maybe, or at least send you a survey to fill out on what your city sees the needs. And if the need pops up as that, then, what our findings will direct how we're gonna utilize the funds.
And then I don't know if the numbers are in yet for the point in time counts. They're not in yet.
In February. So when it's conducted in January, we usually don't hear back until about June. So I imagine it'll be June, July before we hear back. There wasn't a count done last year because of COVID. And the year before that is really the only count that we have at this time. But I do have to say that your city has been very active in doing a point in time count. That's something that I've seen a huge change years where cities are becoming more involved and want an actual count of the people in there. Or when I first started pulling the numbers, there was a lot of proxy counts where, obviously that's not correct. And so having volunteers to participate and actually do the count makes a huge difference for every community. That's the key thing, is he was ready for that help. And that's sometimes what's so frustrating for a lot of people. And as family, I mean, we want them. Getting them to a place where they're ready for that is sometimes 5 times before a person. When we come out and offer you housing, we're actually going to follow through. Our outreach team, again, is available. So if you learn of an encampment, please let me know.
I think a lot of it is trust, because they don't trust too many people because I've burned them or, what have you. And so I think developing those relationships, trust. I just read today, because I'm attending the Housing California conference. And they talked about federal housing trust funds through the governors. Is that something that's, have you guys heard about that one or not yet?
The state of California has a housing trust fund that they have funded. There's also a federal housing trust fund. As the county, we recently wrote a grant and we were awarded, and we are actually going to be conducting a study as your housing representative for the county. We're going to be hiring a consultant to do an analysis of a housing trust fund. Should it be just Fresno County, regionally? I was just talking to Rob about that at the conference room before this. So what we do as being a part of our affordable housing programs is try and bring in additional resources. It's very limited. We don't have enough money for what they're asking us to do, as you all know. And so a housing trust fund would be beneficial. It does need to be run by an agency. So one of the things that we're going to ask the consultant to do is to identify a possible agency that can run that. Not necessarily maybe one of the cities, maybe COG, maybe nonprofit, a CDFI, but what a trust does is they're able to apply state and federally to bring in additional monies to build housing. But it does require the cities to be a partner of that. You might have an annual fee to join that, but you're able to leverage your money. So if you put in a couple of dollars, you end up getting, a dollar for every dollar you put in, you might get another dollar matched or $2. So the county is trying to be proactive as, because as a partner of us. And so we are actually researching that. So hopefully we can have a trust soon. Be patient though. Everything takes time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And again, it's that partnership. We have to have that collaboration because it's not just one person. It's not just one agency. Everybody has to be help the individuals. So
What, in terms of the long-term solutions, you have demonstrated a real ability to get people to transitional housing, but how about in terms of the long-term? Are you there yet for your funding to be able to come up with either like the city of Fresno did, buying a couple of hotels, the housing authority, or they don't call themselves the Fresno Housing, they purchased a couple. Where is the county in terms of these long-term solutions where the people can go and get the help that they need, but have a safe place to go, to be away from the problems that they faced on the streets?
One of the challenges that we found is trying to find a location in the rural communities where that would work. We had previously talked about having maybe a centrally located place in one of the cities, for example, with Home Key 1, which is a state funding source. We did apply for funds and we got a hotel and repurposed it as a interim housing. It's housing that's based on leases as opposed to a shelter. And so we have people at that location right now. It started off as a 204 room location. We are using 165 units. And so we have 165 people or households in those units. The plan is to convert that to affordable housing and also permanent supportive housing. And it may or may not house the same individuals that are there. There's actually relocation funds also that were included as part of that. The city of Fresno, in partnership with the Housing Authority, did also seek Home Key 1 money. That's round one. And in addition, they used CARES money to purchase additional hotels and repurpose them as emergency shelter. At this time, they're looking at converting them to affordable housing. Now, Home Key 2 is going on now. It's round 2. We were hoping to identify a community in the rural area that were and a site potentially to apply for. Unfortunately, no site has come up. No community has offered either. And some of the communities that did offer were concerned, again, because of the idea of opening a site that serves the homeless population. So that is our concentration, is to find. The funding is still available now. We are anticipating a Home Key 3 round. And my hope is that through conversations with cities like yours, maybe we can reach some sort of site where we could potentially consider. The thing is with Home Key, very limited operating funds come with it. And we have to be able to operate these sites. And so there has to be a commitment for that funding. The city of Fresno is using a lot of one-time money. And the state continues to provide one-time funding assistance for us to be able to support the shelters, including the one that we opened, the Crossroads. The problem is that if we do not have a stable, continuous funding source, then how can we plan to open a site that we may not be able to operate in 5 years? And that's what makes it very difficult in terms of planning. So if we were to open a site, let's say between here Reedley, what happens if the funding doesn't come in? How are we going to be able to sustain it? And so right now that's really what the question is the state going to allocate additional funds for operating costs? Are they going to have a continuous source of funding? So we're not at that point yet where I could tell you, oh yeah, we're going to be able to do something and it'll be sustainable forever. Right now, we're still looking for, talking to the state about looking at flexible funding, which means funds where we could open a program that makes sense in the city of Selma or in the city of Sanger versus a program where they're telling us what to do. This, for emergency shelter, you're only going to use it for whatever versus using it for something that actually works in our community. There are discussions that we continue with the state and with our partners, but certainly we are looking to see where it would make the most sense. And like Yvette said, maybe using homelessness and need. That would be a piece that the assessment's going to help us with that, but also care for some of those services. So already exist in the community. It's just a matter of ensuring that they're going to be able to cover.
On local services a lot in each community to provide those ongoing services since you can't be here every day?
Right now, we contract, so for our outreach team, we contract with Kingsview using federal and state funds. We have not asked the smaller cities to provide any funding for that. We specifically fund it using our resources. Health or social service, those are funded also through the county's allocation for those specific programs. So up until now, we have not requested any. Look at it in terms of a community. And we saw that also through the Super 8. So it just, again, I mean, we haven't reached the point where we have to. What ask is that if we do. That'll be part of the discussions that we'll. Now, again.
Mentioned, we normally provide affordable housing, permanent affordable housing. We've helped fund Cordova, I believe Shockley Terrace, and some other projects here in your city. And one of the things that we're exploring, because I agree with you, in that we need permanent long-term, and that's what my area really focuses on. And Sonia's focuses on the homeless, but it's that transition from homelessness to permanent. Really, you want to have the, as they call it, the whole continuum. And so on. And so it's really difficult to build affordable housing that can sustain itself. And when you add the layer of homelessness and the amount of services that they need, it makes it almost impossible. Because the rents that we have to charge for affordable housing is lower, but you still have the same bills, you still have the same water bill, the light bill, you still have to maintain it, things break down. It just, you walk on the carpet and, oh, what happened to it? And so they still have to maintain as a company and be able to manage themselves. But when we limit the rents, it makes it a lot harder. And that's where you normally get these subsidies that help with the rents. Now, that's one of the reasons why the Housing Authority is so successful, is that they're able to utilize other federal funds, such as a Section 8 vouchers, as historically they've been called, that helps them get more subsidies. So even though they charge a rent of $800, they really get money for like a $1,200 rent, and that extra $400 makes the big difference. So it's harder for private developers to do that. We're hoping with conversations with our partner cities and other things is maybe coming up with I'm really hoping to move the direction and thinking, I still want to do our apartment so we can do like a Shockley, but have the ideas of maybe having your market rate rents. You guys have a lot of interest in building and growth here. And so some of our other cities is maybe just having some of these developers have 1 or 2 apartment units in there. And then you have the services, like she's saying, that they come to their site or they're able to go to their appointments and get the help that they need, because it's just like some point in time, something happened in their life, grief, jobs, sickness, things happen. It's called life. And we could still keep them in our communities, provide them that, and work with some of these private developers. And maybe just say, hey, we'll fund 2 apartments in your apartment complex. And no one will even know because we're all the same. Like I said, some people say we're 1 paycheck away from being homeless ourselves, sometimes they say. And that's where, you know, our own family members can be in that situation. So that's another area we're exploring. But like Sonia was saying, it's what your community needs as your housing representative. We never come to your community and say, this is what you need, this is what you want. We want to have a conversation with you. We are limited resources, but if there's a desire, we will work with you however we can to make it happen. And, you know, we'll explore other opportunities, try and bring in additional money. You know, we really need to work together. It's, you know, the county, we're not in the business of building in our county rural areas. All our growth is pushed to the cities, you know, because you have the infrastructure, you have the demand. We shrink, our numbers are getting smaller and you're getting bigger. You know, they want to live near the stores and restaurants. They don't, you know, so those are the things, but we're here to try and help you with that. So we're hoping with these surveys that we'll do, if you have more needs, like Sonia said, we're here to talk and brainstorm and tell us what you think your residents, we can share the information we know with the clients that we're reaching every day in different methods, and then we can try and work together to make it happen.
Have any input from anyone here tonight like to speak on this subject? Have anybody on the phone or on Zoom?
Hi, I caught part, I mean, didn't get to catch the whole thing, but I definitely agree with what was the last things that were said. I work a lot with those who are unhoused and in Fresno. And one, I want to definitely encourage you guys to partner with seeing about something like a transitional housing, like the one that Sonia was speaking on, the Crossroads. It is one that was in my neighborhood, and I know that there was concern from people about the impact, you know, what it would be like. And I think that a huge part of the piece is who's running it and how it's run, and it is shown to be a beautiful resource that isn't problematic, that is clean, that has resources, and the thing that was extremely important about it is the fact that it is in what one of my housing advocates had stated is a high opportunity area. It is right by school. It is right by social services. It is by shopping centers. It is by the major bus lines. So it gives people a chance to be able to have the opportunity to be able to move forward with their lives and be able to access the things that they need in a feasible way. And I definitely encourage the idea of looking into mixed use developments to be able to, you know, when the developers are putting in market rates, to put ones that are affordable housing, because one of the biggest issues that we're finding is the fact that it's very difficult to find permanent solutions. There's a lot of people who are trying to get out of shelters, who have some income, but are unable to be able to find housing. And having, like the last speaker said, having them in high opportunity areas would be a huge resource for those of us, those in the unhoused community. And I appreciate the compassion. I do hope that there would be an increase in communication of compassion, of understanding that there are a lot of reasons why people become unhoused and with different crises, and to have a compassionate response and perspective and very human, this could be us type of perspective on regarding those who have lost housing.
Is that it?
That's all. That is all. Yes.
Thank you for your comments.
And caller, just for the record, can I have your name?
Brandy.
Thank you.
We have another speaker.
Well, you got to know I love Selma because I just got out of the hospital at 1 a.m. I was there for like 5 days. But I wanted to be here because it's important. I love Selma. It's very important to me. There's a lot of things that Sonia was talking about that are so matter of fact. As you guys who are here, You guys know who I am and what we do in this. Since October, all the way up until now, we have continued to house people using the programs, using different resources, using our program under Selmacom, which wasn't mentioned under Hand Up Housing, to continue to house people. But one of the things that I find, and Sarah, you mentioned something about 2 weeks ago, the incident with the mental health person. And that's the part that there's a huge gap in. The part that there has to be medical that is attached. There has to be that connection, because if there's not, that's 50% of the problem. The homeless that are not housed right now, a lot of it is by choice. We are down to 50 or under. You know, that's where our number is. Just in feeding them every day, we feed them 7 days a week. We prepare hot meals. Those numbers have come down tremendously. It used to be, we used to make 150 meals. Now we get 12 to 15. That's good. And I'm talking just homeless. We're not talking about our seniors, just our homeless. So the need is definitely good. And what we're doing is the other thing is Jesus has to be a part of it. Because what we're doing with them, every person that comes in and gets that food, we're saying, hey, there's a resource. Are you ready to use it? There's a connection. There's a program that we could connect you to. Are you ready for it? And if they say no, we'll say, that's okay, but can we pray for you? You know, we have led just in these last 3 months, 7 of those homeless that have been coming for meals to Jesus. We've baptized in February 2 of them. They are now coming into the ministry and doing outreach with us. They're passing out food. They're getting to know Jesus. And that is a huge part of the problem, because that does an inner transformation, right? And that plays a huge role in what we're doing here. Every part is an extension of what has to be done. But there has to be the churches that come in, the ministry part of it, you know, the compassionate part of it, which helps people and introduces them to Jesus, because that's really where people have made their transformations. Yes, they can go through a program, but when they get out, if they don't still know how to deal with their demons, they fall right back. And that is where I'm finding the biggest success rate in the people that I have helped in our ministry. When I say I mean Hand Up Housing and Selmacom as a whole. It has been because we have also prayed, we pray with them and we help them along that way. So anyways,
Thanks very much,
I know
Delphina.
my time is up, but I just wanted to say really quick, you said something that was super important, trust. You know, we don't go out there with them once a month or once a week and praise the Lord that we have, you know, those outreach teams. Truthfully, we don't even have to go out because they come to us. They know that we're there. They know us and we know them by name. So when you're making a decision, you know, that you would thank you, Mike, that we're included. Scott told me about this last week. We had a conversation and, you know, he let me know that this was happening as well. And that's why I'm here. Because if Jesus is not a part of it, you know, we're not going to get there. Thank you guys.
Very much. God bless you, and glad you're feeling better, Delphina. And you know, on that topic, are there limitations on federal funds for religious associated organizations? Is that maybe a potential issue?
There usually requires a housing first. And so she's right. I mean, there's certain individuals that will be influenced by the faith-based. And I agree. I mean, we work with the Fresno Rescue Mission as well, but Fresno Rescue Mission doesn't receive funding from the federal government.
Right.
There's certain resources that, yes, it doesn't allow because of that requirement.
You
that
can't mix church religion with,
discriminate. You
right,
can't discriminate. So you
Right.
can't choose
one
who
religion
not
over
to
another.
allow. Yes.
All of our CDBGM home funds, which is the federal funds we receive, do not allow that the residents or the clients, you know, be required to participate in any religious affiliation or anything. So you can fund a religious agency, they just cannot be preaching that. And they can't require that they attend a service or that they do something. So the agency has to consciously know they're providing the service, but not providing that message. So there is a very thin line, but you can fund a faith-based agency if they agree not to do those activities.
Okay.
So it's something to consider. And you just have to be very clear with the agency and the
Thank you for that clarification.
We have actually contracted with Selma.com in the past, but it's been very specific. The COVID-19, our homeless response, Delphina's team was very involved and conversations that we have when it comes.
Got it. Council have any?
1057 Mill Street, Rose Robertson. I really appreciate this presentation. I think prior years, a lot of stuff of the homeless was really not transparent much. So we kind of didn't know any of the programs or, what was kind of going on. Overall, you mentioned that Reedley was another, high numbers in the homeless. Is there anything going on with Reedley that's hopefully they're going to open up? I think it helps when all the neighboring cities also want to contribute and help with having some kind of homeless organization or programs that they could provide there, so they're just not all going to one town. I'm very much aware of Sanger. I'm not too sure if it's Sanger Hope, but they did purchase a hotel so they could help with the homeless. I think that's an applause there. Every town is trying to do their part. So like you stated, that if these homeless people have family members in those towns, they can get help and feel comfortable to stay in those towns. So hopefully that, again, we can find out and see who else in the cities, neighboring cities, are also going to be part of wanting to help their homeless. Thank you.
That's definitely a message I take from today, that homeless folks want to stay in the town where they're from. It's the rare exception that don't really care where they're going. Okay, with that, we have nothing else. I want to thank our speakers today. Thank you for your contribution. Yvette, Sonia, I'm sure we'll be talking again. It's a really difficult issue. And as you know, Selma has made it a top priority, budgetary as well as talking points, to make sure that, we stay in communication and look for humane, compassionate solutions to this issue. And thank you for staying in touch with our city. With that, we will conclude our workshop, adjourn the Selma City Council special meeting, take a 12-minute recess, and we'll be back for the regular meeting at 6 p.m. Thank you. Okay, with that, we'll open our Selma City Council regular meeting. It's April 4th, 2022, 6 p.m. We are in the Selma City Council Chambers, 1710 Tucker Street, Selma, California, 93662. We're conducting this meeting in accord with AB 361 and Government Code Section 54953 that allows us to hold this meeting remotely as well as in person. Members of the public may access the meeting using the following information: teleconference phone number 301-715-8592, and the webinar ID is 895-7004-9033. When on the phone, if you wish to address council during the public comment portion of the agenda, press star 9 to raise hand, and we will select you from the meeting queue. Press star 6 to unmute and mute yourself. Before we go into our invocation tonight, I'd like to ask for all of us to bow our heads in silence for a Selma citizen, 21-year-old Yamil Martinez Andrade, who lost her life and was killed, murdered this weekend in Sacramento. Let's bow our heads in silence and remembrance for her and for her, what her family is going through. Thank you for that. We wish all the best for the family at this time. And with that, we'll have our invocation led by Pastor Ed Anderson of the Church of God. Welcome.
Thank you. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity that we have to come here together as a city and as a council. I pray, Father, that you will give wisdom to our council members today, Lord, as your word says that we are to lift them up. And I pray, Father, for wisdom, and that we will they will be able to guide the city with wisdom and honor and respect. And we thank you, Lord, that you will bless them in their decisions and in everything that goes on in this meeting here, Lord, that we will have peace and your blessings. And we thank you for this opportunity this night to come together. And we do all this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Flag of the United
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Guerra,
Here.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro,
Here.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho,
Here.
Mayor Robertson.
Here. Potential conflicts of interest. Any council member has a potential conflict of interest may now identify the item and recuse themselves from discussing and voting on the matter. Oral communications. At this time, any member of the public may address the city council regarding any item over which the council has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will be taken on any item not on the agenda. Issues raised will be referred to the city manager for review. Speakers are asked to limit their remarks to 3 minutes or less. Does anyone have any comments they would like to make at this time? If so, please come forward.
There, Joan Nelson, 1058 Mill Street. Say how grateful I am and our city, Jane Farrell, as our Director of Public Works. Harder than anyone in this town, including all of you. Spends endless hours working for us, and it's a city he grew up in. I heard that some of you were planning on demoting Shane. I was shocked. Of course, why would it surprise me? Some of you just play dirty, and you don't even care what it does to our city. I sent all of you council members and the city manager an email in regards to this. The only response was from our mayor. Stated he thanked me for my concern. In the last 2 years, some of you on the council have made decisions that is ruining our city. I have lived here 70 years, and I have seen how this town was the best, and now this isn't Survivor Island here. Wonder why people are moving out of this town? Selma has turned into a ghetto, and it's being run like Parlier is. Sickening, totally sickening to me. It seems as though the only people you are hiring are part of your plan. There's 3 of you up there that have a plan. Well, I'm here to tell you, this city is not yours. It's ours. It's our city. Back to Shane. He is one of the best things that has ever happened in our city. He works his butt off for you and all of us to look better. This is stupid, totally stupid. If you want the city to move forward, I ask you to reconsider Shane in his current position. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else who would like to make a comment at this time?
Hi, everybody. I know it's been a while. But first of all, I would like to say, once again, complete disappointment and disgust at the voting that you did last week or whenever the last meeting was. You don't understand or even know what Shane has done to me. I mean, done to me, but to our community, especially to my neighborhood on the west side. They have worked so hard to get things running, our parks up and running, equipment replaced, everything. So for any of you who voted against that, I don't understand what the hell you were thinking. And I'm sorry, don't even try to interrupt me at this point. And you, city manager, I don't know you. And from what I heard about you, what are your qualifications? You want to talk about someone being qualified to do their job? Shane has been at his position for 19 years, 3 of those as the director. And look where our parks have been. Look what our city has become in those last 3 years alone. Okay? You haven't been here long enough to say that, to see that. But you want to just take for word what people say or disgruntled employees and say, you didn't interview everybody that you said you interviewed. So let's have some transparency. Let's be honest. Where are your qualifications? You've never been a city manager before. So what qualifies you to sit up there and turn our city around and make decisions like this? We can't keep city managers. We can't keep police chiefs. We can't keep officers. We're at you people that are voting this bullshit are running our long-term employees out of this city. We shouldn't have 20-year police officers resigning because they're afraid to get fired. Or 20-year employees, you know, putting in their resignations because they think they're next on the hit list. This has to stop. This has to stop. Navarro, I'm talking to you. Bev, I'm talking to you. And John, I'm talking to you directly. Whatever little thing you guys have going on, let me tell you something. This isn't going to work because this is our city. Okay? And I'm going to bring in the media. I'm going to try to see what your qualifications are to even see if you're qualified to be sitting in that seat, because I don't think you are. And I don't understand, if you are qualified, why do you need deputy assistants? Why do you need a secretary? Teresa Gallivan and Isaac did it all by themselves. They were getting paid good money. And from what I'm seeing, the amount of money that you guys approved for these positions is insane. So now we don't have a park. We're not going to get a fire department for our fire office, for our fire department. Everything's going to be put on the back burner because you guys just think it's your money. It's our money. We're the taxpayers. Why aren't you letting us know what's going on here? We wouldn't approve all this nonsense. You are approving raises in Selma that Clovis, and you're from Clovis, so I'm sure you know, Mr. Santillan. I'm sure you know because you don't live here. You're
Thanks for your
approving
comments.
more money here than they are getting over there.
Thank you for your comments.
Get your shit together, because I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm telling you right now. I will
Appreciate
bring in
it.
the
Thank
media.
you. Our next speaker.
My name is Selena Martinez, born and raised in Selma, and I'm here because I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm just here to address the first person who spoke because they denigrated Parlier and called it a ghetto, and that's what Selma's turning into. I'm not sure on all the facts, but I just like to say that we shouldn't tolerate racist language and denigrate a whole town because they're Mexican, and that's what ghetto means. So I hope that the city will take into account what racism is and what racist language is, and I was offended by that.
For your comment.
Nelson, 2413 Country Club Lane. I've been hearing rumors for quite a while about Shane possibly being demoted from his position. I've known Shane since he was a little guy. I agree with everyone else. No one works harder for our city than Shane does. He's out there early in the morning, late at night, cutting the rose bushes, pruning them so they all look great for our plaza. And I don't know what's going on here. I don't know who's voting against him or what this is all about. There's obviously some disgruntled people, but Shane Farrell deserves that position. If it means he's not qualified, then let's get him qualified. Because all of a sudden now he's not qualified after 3 years. I don't understand this. So if he needs some qualifications, let's get it. No one's going to do a job better than him unless I'm missing something. And if I'm missing something, then someone needs to clear it up because I don't understand it. Nobody tells us why people are let go at will. I don't understand. He deserves that position. He works hard. You always see him working, always. And somebody's making a big mistake. I agree with Yolanda. I don't know what's going on, but somebody's, out for people and for whatever reason, but we're not knowing the truth behind it. And I think it's only fair that as citizens know the reason why people are let go. Thank you.
For your comment. Anyone else have a comment at this time?
Jim Avalos, 1701 Dynevor Street. Heard the people in the back. Government, fire chief, police department, and board, I'll be honest with you guys. During that time, we had a pandemic situation with the City of Selma, but through the whole nation. Gentlemen, and these people that stayed here long enough step into the program and in there too. No, but everybody worked for the city. They had to become multitasked for what they've done overall. And it became very difficult. Wear many hats and yet do the job for the city of Selma. And their pay, I wish I could have paid them more, but at the time we couldn't. But where they were shorthanded, fire department, sleep, everybody was shorthanded. But now it's time when I see spray of the city going, people are leaving the city, all departments leaving the city. There's a problem. We got a problem here, guys. We got to fix this. If someone's going to move forward, and we got to move in the right direction. And when you see good people leaving or being dismissed or being replaced, this is not good, guys, because other cities are looking at us. Trust me, I know they're calling me, guys. State level all the way down. When state level and everything, that reflects the city. They're fine. They look at cities like this. They say, "Whoa." Not give them no money because we don't know what's going on until they get straight. And it is happening, forward. We got to move forward smartly. So fix the problem, what is going on. If you continue this way, the city is going to be, and trust me, man, I seen where we're at. A little nervous, guys. Avalos wants to bring people and the work in the city of Selma more jobs. I want to be safe. I want to be protected. I want the citizens to feel good about the city of Selma. I want the veterans to be happy. I want everybody to be happy. Chamber to be happy. Everybody to be happy to work together, not a disarray. I don't like that. Together, citizens, as people, good people, guys. We can't jump off planet Earth, okay? We got to work together. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
For your comments. Anyone else have a comment at this time? we have anyone on the line, the Facebook?
Hi, this is Sam. This is Sam from the 1400 block of Huntsman. And first, I do want to say that I'm originally from Parlier and I take no objectivity to what was said earlier about Parlier. What she was talking about, whoever that was the chaos that's taking place in Parlier. It's happening here as well. We need to see that, fix that, stop the infighting, and work for the citizens. The other thing I wanted to say was, I didn't see it on the agenda, but I know it was discussed at the last meeting, but the pride flags, you talk about something that was a big oversight. You guys aren't doing the work or due diligence as for the seats that you hold as representatives for the city to make sure that things like that don't slip through and cause even more infighting and now throughout the community. You guys failed big time. So fix that. And I hope what is presented in the future, if not today, because I didn't see it on the agenda, is something that aligns with the law that already exists. Thank you.
You. If anyone else on Zoom or on the phone who'd like to make a comment? Okay, that will bring it back. If no one else has a comment to make at this time, we'll move on from oral communications to our consent calendar. All items listed on their consent calendar are considered routine. The complete consent calendar will be enacted by one motion by roll call vote. For purposes of discussion, any council member may have an item removed from the consent calendar and made part of the regular agenda. The council can then approve the remainder of the consent calendar. Do council members have an item or items they would like to remove from the calendar tonight?
Can you pull F?
Item F. I'd like to pull items E and M as in Mary. And with that, is there a motion to approve items A through D, G through L, and N?
I make a
Make a
motion.
motion.
Okay, so we've got a first from Councilman Trujillo and a second from Councilmember Guerra.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Councilmember Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Okay, item E is approving amendment to master salary schedule, creating a special projects manager position. City manager, can you explain this a little more?
Absolutely. This proposal is to give the city a little bit of flexibility when we have turnover in certain positions. Sometimes we're in need of bringing in folks who are experienced, who are qualified, who have previously served in similar positions in other cities. Sometimes those individuals are retired CalPERS annuitants. The primary reason why we're proposing this position is to be able to comply with CalPERS regulations with regard to retired annuitants filling in temporary roles with cities. Not just our city, but this is especially when it comes to finance departments and human resources, the turnover that you're seeing throughout the state is stretching local governments quite thin. And so there's consultants out there who are retired who are able to fill in these roles temporarily. The hourly range that is being proposed is proposed as such because it provides the city the flexibility to pay a consultant to come in as a city employee temporarily for up to 6 months without paying them benefits. And so this really is just something that gives us some flexibility when we have turnover and we need to continue city operations efficiently.
Does this allow the city to get around a posting process requirement? And is there such a posting process requirement for public jobs within cities?
These particular positions are not part of the competitive civil service. They're unrepresented. If we are able to identify individuals who can meet the requirements of the position, we would not be required to post it as I understand it.
Okay, so this special project manager, are we saying that this is an additional position where it's going to be contracted? So they'll have a contract, is what you're saying, for about 6 months?
No, they will be on the city's payroll, so they will not be a contractor. They would only be limited to 6 months with the city with no benefits, but they will be an employee of the city.
But they will
There
not-
typically would be an employment agreement, just like we have with, our at-will positions, for example.
Well,
And the reason that we chose to call it special projects manager is, as opposed to a finance interim, position, this gives us the flexibility to place this person in human resources, for example, where we're stretched in at the moment, or in community development if we needed an additional planner. So it gives us that flexibility.
So we're looking to get another position, special project manager. His pay range would be around $50 to $175 per hour. And I mean, this, again, here we go,
You mind if I say something? Why aren't we focusing on keeping the employees that we have here rather than going out and getting these special projects? I think that employer retention is the key. And I think this philosophy of change for change's sakes is not working for our city. I just think this is a part of the failure of our city to keep employees having this position. And my question is, how long would this special projects manager position be on the books if this is approved tonight? Indefinitely, or is this just is this for a finite amount of time?
So the actual position that's being created would remain on the salary master schedule. However, each individual role that's filled under the special projects manager title is limited to a maximum of 6 months.
And then if it works out, they would segue into a permanent position with the city. Is that correct?
That would not be the plan. What we're looking for is folks who are already retired, who have the experience to continue operations in specific departments with specific technical skills until we can find someone permanent to fill that position. And those positions that are being filled would be posted through the normal competitive process.
And if this is temporary, or do they actually step? I mean, I'm looking at page 7 of 7, and it starts at 50, 95, 125, 150, and 175 an hour. And it looks like those are actual steps based on their time of service.
No, thanks for asking that. It's a good question. We would start them at a specific rate within that range and keep them there for their duration of their employment with the city. They would not be eligible for promotion for.
Stay at one pay
They would-
level.
Correct.
Other comments at this time? Do we have any comments from the public on this issue?
The amount of money that you're saying, there we go again. We're spending money again, but look at what you guys approved. Look what you guys approved last time. Look at the amounts of money you approved, and now you want to create another position? Explain that to me, please. Santian, I'm speaking to you directly. I'm sorry. It's your position you want to create. Please explain where they will be working.
So this is not oral communication, so we can communicate, I believe, with the folks that are coming up, citizens asking questions.
Okay, counsel, can you ask him, or can somebody give me an explanation? I'm asking him because it's something he wants to create. So we need an explanation. I don't understand this.
Right, so this is on the agenda because the city manager put it on the agenda. If you would like to address that. this
Sure,
probably
I would
the
be happy
proper
to,
time.
absolutely. So for example, the position that we are currently looking to fill is in the finance department. So we are looking for a finance director, treasurer. We currently have that position vacant. So what we are looking to do is create the special projects manager to bring in a retired finance director who has worked in other cities throughout the state to help us out with it for a couple of months while we fill that position until we can complete the recruitment for a well-qualified finance director. This position, the reason we're creating it is that so that person who comes in to assist us for a couple of months doesn't run into issues with CalPERS in terms of working and getting paid while they're also receiving retirement benefits. So
Okay, so what you approved, a finance/treasurer department, a senior accountant for 5,689 to 6,915 a month, that falls under the finance. So you need someone else to work in the finance as well?
So, correct, those budgetary appropriations were to be able to support the salary of whoever's coming in to fill that vacant role currently. So that role is not currently filled.
Like the mayor said just a bit ago, I don't understand why all these positions are being created when we're letting people go. But we're letting employees go for no reason or demoting them or whatever you want to call it, however way you want to route it. But look at the amount of money. We have administrative department, we have a city manager department, we have finance department, we have a community department that has 4 positions, a police department chief, which I know we need, and a public works director. We have one right here. We don't need another one. We can just, he's got the experience. Just give him the little bit more money that you were going to get this new person. Like, I don't understand why these are all being created. This is the problem we're having in our community, in our city. We can't get anywhere. We're not, where are we getting the money from? It's not growing from the trees. I'm just confused why you keep creating all these departments.
Thank
It
you
still
for,
makes no sense.
thank you for your input. We have any more input from anyone who's here tonight in person? We have any input from anyone on Zoom or on the phone?
I don't know. This is Sam again from the 1400 block of Huntsman. And I just want to say, I don't know the history of these positions and why they're vacant, but you probably see nationwide, statewide, countywide, a lot of people losing their jobs due to tribalism efforts. I would pray that you all can work together united for the families of people that have good values to keep your employees, keep them happy, keep them, employed so they can maintain their residences. We need good, hardworking people, not people who are just gonna, go along with the plan, or people who have good values and maybe they don't align with your core beliefs, but they're good people. Fight to keep those people because they're the ones that maintain the city. That's all.
Thank you for your comment.
Paula, 1701 Danube Avenue. I understand this special projects manager. I know exactly because I did human resources. Right now you have an interim finance director, you have an interim police chief, you have an interim fire chief, whatever that position is. You need somebody to run the department while you do the recruitment for the full-time position. And that person, that interim person, rather than say interim fire chief, interim police chief, interim whatever, it's going to be special projects manager. That's the title you're giving them. So can you clarify that for people instead? I mean, I know that's the title you want to give it so that you don't have to keep changing the name of it for each particular person. But I think that's what the people don't understand. You're giving it a title, but it's going to be something different every time there's an empty spot. So if you have no police chief, it's going to be the interim police chief, but you're calling him special projects manager. Is that correct?
Do you want to answer the?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for that request for clarification. That's exactly correct. And the reason that we have to call it something different, special projects manager, for example, is because if we brought them in, for example, as a interim finance director, then under state requirements, we would have to pay them the hourly rate that we would pay the normal person, the permanent person. And so for somebody who's a consultant who's retired and is not getting any benefits, no, we wouldn't get anybody to come in who's experienced, who's qualified to be able to help the city for that interim period. So we have to create this new position that allows us to still pay them a reasonable rate as a quote unquote employee, but who's technically a consultant, to be able to bring them in for that very short period. And that fee or that salary is actually being paid for by the savings that are generated by the vacancy in that position currently.
So that you're bringing in under that title, they're filling in that need temporarily while you do the full-time recruitment.
That's correct.
And then, but they are coming in with the knowledge that they're only going to be temporary. They're only going to work for 2 or 3 months until you fill your permanent vacancy.
Yes.
And they're not eligible for any type of benefits or anything else from the city other than their hourly rate.
That's correct. And for the most part, they max out at 960 hours a year. If somebody, that's 6 months, and it's probably going to be very rare that we're able to get all 6 months out of anybody because, they go to other cities and help them out as well. So, we're trying to get ahead of the curve here because there's many other cities. I went to a conference where city managers were talking about this issue, and they're all experiencing the same issues in labor shortages, qualified, skilled, technical shortages. And while you're trying to fill a key position, it's very important to have this help in the meantime. Thank you.
Do you have any other input on this topic? Okay, with that, we'll bring it back to council. I would just say, and what I've heard tonight, what I'm thinking and why I pulled this off of consent is just, there's a general, I think, consensus about the city needing this position because there are so many positions that aren't filled. And having a special projects manager, I haven't seen this. I've been on 10 years and I've never seen a special projects manager position before in the city. And I think it just goes to show that the city does have relatively many positions that are open. And that's why there's a need for this position, which is highly paid. And it's something that I think a lot of the speakers haven't experienced before in the city. And I feel the same way. I haven't experienced it before in my tenure with the city. So with that, is there a motion for consideration of this amendment?
So right now we're living in unprecedented times. And for my view is that it's an employee record, but basically like an employee can go anywhere. Like it's hot market right now. If I want to move to a different, or any of us want to move to a different position, and we see that other agencies or other cities or what have you are paying more money for the skills that we have, it's an employee, I don't even know what the right term is, but it's like the housing market, right? Like it's a buyer's or seller's market right now. Like everybody's paying top money for somebody's house, or even like your car, they're paying top notch for the car. An employee right now is able to go anywhere and negotiate any type of income that they, can have, because there's agencies out there that are paying great money. And so, unfortunately, that leaves cities that have to lose those great employees because they choose to go somewhere else or what have you. And this is actually creating a position to where I called it a floater, but it's not really a floater. It's a filler in position. It's like a filling in position because we don't have we have a position that's vacant. We need somebody right now because we're getting ready to start our budgets and we don't have somebody in that position. So we don't have time to not run the city. We still need to run the city effectively. And if you're bringing in somebody that has those skills and you're able to bring them in at a lower rate than what you would pay somebody in that position, then yes, these type of positions are good because those are like filler in positions. And so I just thought I needed to clarify that because that's what this is. It's just to fill us in, to get us through what we need to get through, to get those people that really want to be here, really want to stay here and help the city grow the way that we want it to grow. And so that was just my explanation that I felt I needed to say for this position.
Thanks, council member. And I think, that's certainly one explanation. And I mean, not all of these positions have been voluntarily terminated. They haven't, people haven't just necessarily left of their own accord. So there have been positions that have been involuntarily left open as well. So with that, is there a motion to consider this amendment to the master salary schedule, creating a special project manager position? Is there a motion to approve or deny? Is
Motion to approve it.
there a second?
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho,
Yes.
Councilmember Guerra,
No.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
No. Okay, any other consent item? Councilmember Trio?
Yeah, I just want a little clarification on Rob, if you could help us out. I know that this project, I know that I passed by, we got probably about 3 to 4 years with this project. So if you can give us a little detailed report on what's the time frame from, if we approve this, what's the time frame from it developing? I know that American Tire has been coming to Selma for the last, 5 years, but just want to get a little detail if you can.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman. To make sure that you get the exact accurate, I'm going to hand it to our contract city engineer.
Thank you.
Who actually had all of the interactions on this amendment item right here. So
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This item is just extending, they're supposed to underground the overhead lines across Whitson. So this is the only extension, and they deferred it back in the original agreement, April 19th, 2021. And working with PG&E to design and get those improvements undergrounded, they've had delays. As everyone knows, PG&E is very complicated to work with. And so this extension is only for it's extending it 1 more year for them to actually construct underground the overhead lines across. Nothing else. They're not getting rid of it. It's just extending the time frame so they can keep on working with PG&E for them to get the agreements and contract.
Is the owner and the developer in agreement, or are they all in tight with PG&E? Are they all?
As we're not handling it, the city's not
Okay,
handling that,
okay,
but as
you're
far
just
as I
thinking
know,
of-
they're in the process of working with PG&E. And so they just need a little bit more time, that's my understanding, to get the project under contract.
And just to add to that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Philip, we can give them clearance and final their occupancy before the work is done to underground the line. So we are just waiting on them to tell us when they want to open. And then with this extension, they would have an additional year to be able to underground those lines. So they can open at any time at this point.
Seems like this has been going on since what, 2013? This building? I mean,
Quite a
it's-
while.
It's been a while. Is there been any confirmation that PG&E said, yeah, it's going to be a year and that's what it's going to be?
We have
Or
no
did-
confirmation directly from PG&E, but I can work on that and I can bring that back to council.
Well, it looks like you got a bond on it, right? So if they don't do it in a year, does the bond pay off, or what happens with the surety?
And that's why we have the bond. The original agreement called for a $175,000 bond that the city holds. The city does have it. We've accepted it. So if they don't build in this extension 1 more year, then the city can pull the bond and they can have the bonding agency move forward with the undergrounding.
Could Mr. Manager, can you elaborate on what you had just stated in regards of giving them an occupancy and they can come back?
Sure. Aside from this development condition, they've met all other conditions to open up. So whenever they're ready, they have their inventory ready to go, we can go in, do a final inspection with the fire department, with our building department, and give them the green light to open. If for any reason after they open, PG&E, for example, may delay their application, the council still has the option of continuing to extend this agreement to give them more time to be able to underground those utilities. So from our perspective, they're good to go.
And I'd just like to comment, that is sales tax we're lacking. So, they sell tires, we get sales tax. So if there's a bond and we get, agreement between the city and the business, it's a plus. So we can work that out. I mean, us as council, it would be a great transition.
We need the business, definitely.
Just on a note about the PG&E, I know we have a development in Kingsburg that's along Mendocino. New development that we had delays with PG&E for about a year. We're barely going to open. It's a senior complex and a senior affordable complex, and we have not been able to open because of PG&E. And I don't know whether it's because we're along the 99 here And then over there, they're along the Mendocino. So that might be the issue.
It's a common
Caltrans?
theme with PG&E, just on delays, just their backlogs, just the way they work. So this way, we're letting the business open, the city gets a surety. We don't want to ever pull the bond, so we're just giving them more time to do it themselves. And then we'll stay on top of them to make sure they get the project done as quickly as we can. Hopefully it's not a year, hopefully it's a few months, but that's our goal and we'll move forward with that.
You know, I also brought up the topic, thank you, council member, for that. The Pacific Avenue next to Selma Pallet, that light has been out and they work around the clock. I mean, they have a lot of employees come in the dark. They've experienced thefts. It's a safety issue with that street light. PG&E is supposed to connect that a couple of years ago. Mr. City Manager, could we extend an invitation to PG&E to come out and have a talk with them, their representative, about these service issues? And, you know, we may not be alone in this. It doesn't sound like we are alone, but maybe we could ask them about these various points, like the tire depot and, you know, like Selma Pallet and our businesses that need their service.
Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Phil. And with that, we'd like to open it to the public for any input at this time on this topic. Do we have anybody on the Zoom or on the phone who would like to make a comment at this time?
Mayor Robertson, I see no one with their hands raised at this time.
That we have a first and a second. Can you call the roll, please, City Clerk?
I'll second it.
Member Navarro.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro,
Yes.
Councilmember Guerra,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Okay. Item M, consider agreement with Regional Government Services for Finance and Human Resources Consulting Services. So this sounds like it actually goes a little bit with the Special Projects Manager position, which was our previous discussion on item E. Could you amplify this a little bit, City Manager?
Sure. This item is fairly related to the previous item. What we're proposing to do is Regional Government Services is a joint powers authority. They're essentially an arm of the state, and they work exclusively with public agencies, municipalities, and counties to be able to provide services. For example, when there's labor shortages, when there are spikes in workload, transitions, those sort of things. And we are also, as you know, short, not just in the finance department, but also in the human resources department. We have one human resources manager for 150 employees, including public safety. And so that person does our risk management, our hiring and recruiting, onboarding, benefits administration, and really everything else that goes with HR compliance, training, et cetera, which, so we're clearly understaffed in that department. And then in the finance department, aside from the finance director who we're recruiting for, we're also recruiting for a senior accountant to be able to get that department caught up because for the last couple of years, it's fallen behind in terms of different daily operations. And so RGS is, works with many other cities around the state to be able to provide sort of that interim staffing. What we're engaging them specifically for over the next year or so is budget and audit assistance. And our senior project manager that was just approved will be coordinating those activities as well as running the day-to-day operations while we fill that permanent vacation or permanent position. And then RGS is also going to be helping us with the recruitments for those permanent positions, senior accountant, city planner. They're going to help us with the police chief recruitment, with the finance director position, and a few other positions that we are really needing to fill to accommodate the growth and the activity that is occurring in the city of Selma at the moment.
Thank you for that. Does council have any comment on this? I pulled this off because this seemed like it went with item E and it seemed to go with the theme of something that I've never seen the city have to consider, which is going out to a governmental temporary staffing firm. If they would provide somebody for the, say, the finance department, would they be paid through RGS? Is RGS the employer? They're actually a temp company that actually is the employer. And would they be, so RGS would be the employer and they wouldn't be paid under the special projects
Correct.
employee position. Is that correct?
Correct. The contract is with RGS. They're the consultant and they provide the labor for, to meet our contract.
And would any of these employees from RGS have the potential to become full-time employees for the city of Selma?
No.
Okay. I mean, I guess that's what gets me a little bit about both of these is they're temporary stopgap measures. I think what we're looking for, and I think you would agree with me, city manager, we're looking for qualified, full-time, skilled employees to fill these positions rather than temporary who don't stay very long, 3-6 months.
Absolutely. And that's why we combine the finance piece of it with the recruiting portion of it, because while they're helping us maintain the operations, they're also helping us find qualified people that can be with us on a permanent basis.
Right.
So,
Which just underscores the point that we just don't have all that many positions filled right now, which I see as a real point of concern, especially in finance as we go to budget.
well, some of
Really
them
critical
are,
time for our city.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
Absolutely.
Some of them are actually new positions that have been created to supplement, for example, human resources assistant, city planner, with all the development applications that the city has been receiving lately. We currently use a consultant, but it's not enough for our consultant to keep pace with. So we need to bring in staff and community development. But when you're recruiting and you're hiring and onboarding, one person who's already handling all of the other HR stuff is not going to be able to handle all those recruitments for the new positions that were created. And so this is going to be really helpful to get qualified people, identify qualified people, and just manage that whole process for us.
And then the other deputy city manager position that's currently vacant that you're hiring for, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that is for employment and human resources. So would that be actually adding someone else who could participate in the process of interviewing, hiring, and retaining qualified employees for the city of Selma?
Yep. And RGS will actually be helping us find that person, that highly qualified person to fill that role. We don't anticipate needing RGS for very long if the recruitments go well.
Do you have any other comments at this time? Do we have any comments from anyone here tonight on this issue? We have anyone on Zoom or on the phone who would like to say anything?
This is Sam again at 1400 Huntsman. And I hear qualified, and it makes me wonder if there was some sort of change in the condition of employment that now requires vaccination. I know that's not the subject, but we all know that a lot of stuff is going on with vaccine status. And I really hope that's not what's driving the momentum to find these state-run entities that are going to find quote unquote qualified personnel. Again, to find people who are qualified means that they care about the city, that they're hardworking, and their status should not matter. So I really hope, especially with the current events that are going around, showing a little bit more about the side effects of all that, that you guys work to make sure you keep your employees and you treat them fairly and you hire accordingly from within and not in these entrusted state agencies that are really trying to do a full rollout of what I would call tribalism at the fullest extent, getting rid of people who just do not succumb or align or, just follow suit. We need brave people. And so if this is part of that fallout, which I do believe it is, because we see for sale signs everywhere. People are leaving because people aren't strong enough to fight back and keep those employees who choose to protect themselves and to stay healthy and let their natural immunity keep them safe. That's all.
Thank you. Do we have any other input on Zoom or on the phone? Okay, that will bring it back. Is there a motion to approve or not approve this item? To approve? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mendoza, Navarro, and Cho. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro, Mayor Pro Tem Cho,
Yes.
Councilmember Guerra,
No.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
No. That will move on to our first item, regular business. That will be the consideration of the 559 mural project, mural painting on the Salazar Center. Report, please.
Mayor Robinson, members of City Council. You might remember back in July 19, 2021, City Council meeting, the 559 mural project requested consideration to place a mural on the Salazar Center. Any mural policy that was adopted by City Council requires an applicant to complete this mural within 6 months of the approval. The 559 mural project has been in constant contact with staff over the past few months and is ready to proceed with this project if approved. At that meeting, City Council did request the 559 project obtain the following: written consent from the United Farm Workers to use their logo on the mural. That has been solved. The 559 project will not be placing a logo on the mural. Written consent for the City of Selma to use photos of the mural should pictures be taken for promotions of social media. The consent has been provided to the city through the 559 project. Written consent from parents of the youth being represented in the mural, and both of those parents have submitted a consent form approving their child. Consideration from the muralist to include poem in Spanish in addition to the English version provided. The 559 mural project has agreed to this addition. There would be an additional cost of $250, and they have agreed to pay $50. They were requesting the city consider paying it. And in the staff report, we do have the Salazar donation account. We could cover that because it is part of the Salazar Center. The book titles that were part of the mural was also raised on the question of copyrights. There was no titles subject to the copyright. However, the 559 mural project did decide just to use colored books with no book title, so that solves that. Lastly, the city mural policy does require that the mural presented is the mural that goes up on the. They are requesting flexibility with the change of color, for example, the children's t-shirt, maybe adding such items as a bird, a location of the poem, and imagery of the two children. However, keeping the clear guidelines set forth in the mural project guidelines, so that would be council. Staff would recommend that if there was a modification, we would be updated. We can take a quick look at it also. If there was a question of any revision, that it would be 559 project would have to pay for the if the council would. Selena Martinez, the 559 Mural co-founder and executive director, is here for a set presentation and also to answer any questions. But they did fulfill and answer all those questions that were. They did have a change in artist too, so process was delayed. Because there's that 6-month policy, that's why we come back now, because they are ready.
City Council, my name is Selena Martinez, born and raised in Selma, and I'm the co-founder, executive director of the 559 Mural Project. Thank you for helping us throughout a year and a half to get this project cleared away.
I'm sorry, Ms. Martinez, can everyone hear Ms. Martinez? Could you speak up just a little bit, please?
Can people hear me now? Okay, thanks.
You.
My name is Selena Martinez Mack. Was born and raised in Selma. We are the group that put the mural up at Last Day of Market 2 years ago, or almost 2 years ago. And we were connected with Jose Moreno, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, who pitched the idea to put a mural at the Boys and Girls Club, or sorry, the Salazar Community Center, where the Boys and Girls Club is housed. And we've been working with the community, and Michael has been very gracious with us and helping us to get all the paperwork approved. And yeah, we're really excited to move forward. I did want to ask Michael that for one of the books in the imagery, we're not putting any imagery on the books, just the book titles. Those don't have any copyright. And then as far as having the funds, after we get your approval, that's what we've been waiting for, to get the legitimacy of our work and mural stamp of approval so that we can start heavily fundraising. The project is $16,000. We have gotten a grant of $4,000 to help provide my staff with small stipends, and we've raised about $1,000 so far. And we have a t-shirt campaign. So I have some flyers here with one of the artists. One of the artists is here, Brandy from Fresno. And then we have Nikki Jimenez, who's from Selma, and she's sporting our t-shirt. So we really want to help raise funds that way. So we're not gonna be able to start right away until we have at least 75% of the monies. So we're hoping that it will take 6 to 8 weeks, and then the artists will be hoping to start by May, we still have time because we have a 6-month time frame, and that should still be it. So we can call Michael when we're ready to go out there. And we're also wondering if the artists could leave their paints in the building when they leave day to day to do the work. We're thinking that it might take a month or 6 weeks to complete. And we're hoping, I've been working with Ruby, that we will have an art activity with the Boys and Girls Club so that we can have the youth have a sense of belonging and feel that they have a sense of ownership to the mural that we have created for them. So yeah, I hope the community will be proud of it. I've also been working with the Salazar family, and I think they're going to be really excited. I know they said they would help with fundraising. So yeah, we'll be reaching out to the Selma Enterprise because I think this will be really good for the community. I think this will be really good for Barrio, and take the work that Vicky has done and bring it out to other neighborhoods.
Thank you, Ms.
Lena,
Martinez.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I was hoping you'd say that you were going to start tomorrow.
I would like to.
My just quick question is, I just know that there's services that are there. Has that been coordinated? You know, I know with Delphina that she is always feeding the homeless through there, and then the Boys and Girls Club. Is there going to be any interruptions with the programs that are provided there?
So when I've been in contact with Ruby, she was telling me that she needed to coordinate and work with the other folks that are there. So whatever works with her and the other groups that are there, then definitely we're going to work around those schedules, of course.
I have a question for you. Oh, go ahead.
Gotcha. To clarify, there will be no interruption with the Smart Center because it's along the
perfect.
basketball courts.
Okay.
However, Ruby has been involved with the City of Selma for years, so she understands that that portion of the half court, there will be some interruption, but typically it would just be they couldn't use the very little interruption.
Please let us know if they're like logistically, operationally, like what we need to be aware of when the artists start coming out, and then when we want to do the activity day with the children. I'll be in contact with Michael and Ruby for whenever that date can be in the future.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
You mentioned that the family you had a shortfall. What was that amount?
Sorry?
What was the amount of the shortfall for that family?
Well, for that.
You said somebody was they were short with some money.
They need 16 grand and they're at 5,000.
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the cost of the mural is $16,000. We received a grant of $4,000 to help with my small volunteer staff to get a stipend of $1,000 each and some logistical cost. And then we've raised about $1,000, and the cost of the 250 was from last meeting. The mayor had asked about the poem being translated into Spanish, and we thought about it, but we didn't propose that. And so we were wondering if the city would be gracious enough to support the $200 for it being translated. And we paid for the deposit. It's been translated for the artist fee, and to give us flexibility to where the poem will be on the mural, because we couldn't really do it with the mock-up. And so that's where the 250 is. And because it will be a donation, we will put the city of Selma on our mural plaque as a donor.
Well, I really appreciate everything you guys been doing for the past years. You guys been doing a good job.
Thank
Looks
you.
really
Appreciate
nice,
that.
and it actually brings out people that go and, they sit there and they watch, and Vicky's done a really good job, and you guys are fulfilling that role. So I just want you to know that my personally, one of my businesses is going to donate $500 to you guys, okay?
Oh,
And
thank
that's
you
just
so
to
much.
help you guys out, okay?
Thank you. We really appreciate that. We're really excited. It was, a year and a half, just like, is this going to go? Is it going to go? And we're really excited to get started. I think it will be a positive for the community, especially in the barrio. And I think people will come to see the beauty that's
I think
there.
anything you guys are doing is positive, and anything we do here in Selma for all of us is positive, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
I was just on the west side at the Boys and Girls Club for Women in Leadership Day, really inspiring. And, one of the kids I was talking to loves to paint, and she's going to be all over that. She's going to be watching, drawing, and so to speak, inspiration from the mural. And I want to thank you for that. I think she's a budding artist, and I wonder how many other budding artists you'll be inspiring with that mural. So thank you for doing that for not just the Boys and Girls Club, but all the kids on the west side and all the kids in Selma.
Yeah,
gonna
no,
be really great.
definitely. Thank you. We appreciate that. We have great artists here already and who are going to help out. Mikey Blanco, I really want to raise enough money so he can help be an assistant artist. And Nikki, who's from Selma, and just from the elder generation, like just Vicky's work really inspired me to come back from the Bay to help continue her legacy. So I hope, want to bring a positive for my generation as well.
I just have some comments. Thank you so much for going back and researching that of the UFW
Yeah.
logo. The second bullet that we have in the staff report still talks about.
I just noticed that in the binder. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, so the contract has been, I feel like I took that out, so we're not putting that in. We didn't move forward with UFW to use their copyright. So I have the new contract here because I actually need your signatures to validate our contracts according to like how you want to use the copyright, that you're not going to use it for commercial uses, but you can use it on the website, and just that all the things that we stipulated in our contract that you agree with. So I need to get that signed.
I have a couple of when I was reading this last night, there was just some things that kind of didn't settle right with me.
Okay.
And I grew up there. I went to Salazar Center. That's I don't know if I mentioned this before, but when there was a pool there, I almost drowned there. So
Oh, I'm so sorry.
but it's I mean, I was little, I didn't know how to swim, right? So
Right.
so yeah, that was my park, there. So and I know there was quinceañeras and stuff that were, held there. The thing that a couple of things. One is where it talks about on page 3 of your contract. It talks about the owner. So we're the owner, right?
Right, you're the owners.
Okay. And then the other thing that and you'll have to understand my unsettlement is just I didn't grow up not knowing, or I didn't grow up like being, you can't do this, you can't do that, or because of this or because of that. Like you're not, I didn't experience any of that. We had a DEI presentation, a diversity, equity, and inclusion type of presentation where I work. And so I'm usually very vocal, and everything. And they said, you have any comments? And I said, I don't. I said, I don't know if it's a blessing or if it's not a blessing, but I didn't experience any of those things like the way that they were talking about. So I can't comment of social injustice. I can't comment on any of those kind of things. Like I was never,
Oh, interesting.
And I
Okay.
mean,
That's your experience.
I don't know
I appreciate that.
if that's like I said, I don't know if it's a blessing or what it is, or I was just naive to it, or I just honestly didn't focus on that. But I just didn't. I just know my mom said, do better. I don't care if you go to school or not, just do better. Don't end up in the fields like we are. So for me, because it's a government building, And I don't know what our policies are exactly on the message that this is giving, a little bit of the, and I'm gonna be, the social, and there's a lot of words in here that I'm kind of like, how much control do we have as a city? Because I don't know if we have a DEI policy or, that those are just kind of that, I feel like there's a little bit of a political undertone. And so that's where I'm unsettled with. It's a beautiful project. It's a beautiful, thing that you guys are doing. Again, I grew up there. I was in the farms. I was in farm labor. That's just kind of the unsettling that I had because it's a government building. So I'd like to see a little bit more, new, I don't know if the word is right, but
Neutral language.
Yeah. So I get it, again, I'm Latina, I'm born in Mexico. I came at the age of 2, UFW helped my parents, so I'm not stomping on my heritage or anything like that. But for me personally, I may not be the only one that didn't grow up like that, and so to me, I just feel like, again, because it's a government building, I feel that it needs to be a little bit more neutral on
Got it.
on that.
Can I get clear? No, I understand and appreciate your story and, coming from my parents, I'm sure many of us in Selma share that same story. And I understand where you're coming from in terms of it being political, but I see this as human rights issues, especially what has been going on in obviously in with the pandemic. And not that it created inequities, the pandemic didn't, it really just magnified them and they were already existing and it exasperated it. And then of course with the murders of Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, that just really accelerated things that everything is interconnected and that includes government and government, whether you want to believe it or not, has been involved and has condoned discrimination and racist policies. And that is why inequities and racism still exist in this country. And that's something that I know and I understand, we believe in a country that is based on freedoms. I understand where you're coming from, but I think if you really dissect the history, and I've been studying a lot about this and I'm getting certificates in diversity, equity, inclusion and leading racial equity in organizations. And I do have an MBA and an MPA background in environmental and social justice. And so when you really look at the history, and I understand where you're coming from as an American citizen, and I'm proud of that as well, but we also have to take a deeper look about the government and it condoning racism and racist policies, because that is why we have neighborhoods like the Barrio. Our Freeway 99, if no one's ever heard about redlining, I really would like you to read I'm forgetting this book and The Color of Law.
I have that book.
Yeah,
And
so I'm not making things up. And so this is why my group exists. We didn't want to sit in the sidelines. I didn't want to sit in the sidelines. I was fed things as a child, and as we all are with our countries and governments, but we cannot turn a blind eye to racism, to subtle racisms and white supremacy. And I feel that the messages that we're sending with books is true and right. And if City Council, you have a right to not approve this if that is something that you think the people, that is your right, and we will go somewhere else that will approve us, and the Barrio won't have a mural. So that it's up to you, and I will respectfully take that decision of the City Council, and we'll take the mural elsewhere.
And like I said, I'm just 1/5 of the vote here, and I'm not saying whether I'm going to approve or not, but one of the things is those are just my gut feelings, and a lot of the times we have to focus on those gut feelings. If it doesn't feel right, then it's just may not be right, right? So we have that sense of understanding. So the other thing is, as far as the translation, it doesn't really have the same, I don't know what the message is trying to be as far as the translation. So it just doesn't feel like the translation is there either. As far as what in the
same
Spanish.
sentiment?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So again, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, have a goddaughter that's an artist and I know that everybody has a right to express themselves and everything.
Mhm.
However, because this is a government property.
I understand.
That's where
Okay,
the unsettlement is.
okay,
for me.
yeah. I thank you for sharing those, what you feel. Thank you.
Any input from the public on this? Please step up.
To come up and say something. Painted a mural, I think the August of.
Can everybody hear this gentleman?
I
Can you
painted a
please speak
mural
into that
in
microphone?
August of 2020 of Samantha Cruz Pedro, who passed away. She's from Selma. She drowned in the Reedley Beach, and a mural of Manjeet Singh, who tried to save her and ended up dying too. Since then, we don't know why, but the mural was covered up, and I think this would be a great opportunity. Act with Samantha and
Sure. Oh, ma'am? No, go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Brandon Viegas. I'm one of the lead artists for the project, and I just want to introduce myself and share about this. I've been involved in arts in the community for a while. Like right now, finishing up a group project mural in the ag department at Fresno State. So if you're in that area, you can check that out. Very proud to be able to be part of this and serve the people of Selma. I have been a neighbor to you guys in Dinuba for decades. Been part of this community in different ways and stuff, working with the youth for many years as a recreation leader, a sub, and an art teacher. And so it is really encouraging for me to be able to knowing and spending time with kids, being able to inspire and encourage them both through the mural itself and through it. Want to let you know that not only will they get a chance to see it, but we will be working with the kids so that they can be part of it. Like you said, to have ownership of it and be part of an amazing project. Because I understand. Being an art teacher, right now I'm in grad school, my master's program, but seeing how inspired the kids are when they get to make a work of art like you shared with your family member is powerful, and I'm really excited about that. I'm also excited that it's important to me that this reflects the neighborhood. One of the things that has been important for me in mural work is that I'm not just coming in and putting up something, but that I was really proud to be part of this group because they went out to the community, they got the community's input, and then we shared a sketch, and then we got their input again. So this has been strongly part of the community, the neighborhood that we were in, and they had a chance to give their input and have their ideas and their voices in this. I feel like that's an important thing, how it's reflecting, and they've had a chance to have a voice in that. I love the design imagery that my team created. Very proud of this project. And I also want to let you know that I will put my heart into this and give the community something that they can be as an artist and with the students. And also want to point out that was one of the documents is an older contract. It won't be like July, it will be earlier, like mid-May, as soon as a mural that everyone will be proud of. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
this is totally unexpected for my behalf to stand up but I've lived in this town since, oh, sorry, Ed Anderson, 1017 Mill Street here in Selma. I've been here as a resident since 1983. And I have to tell you, I take offense because what you don't know, 1969, my biological father was run out of business by UFW at gunpoint. He was one of the largest farm labor contractors on the west side. So there's both sides to the story. And there was a lot of violence in those days. Busloads of people ran off into the aqueduct because they wouldn't conform. They wouldn't go ahead and bow to the union. But eventually, with power and force, they won. All I'm asking is, rather than paint our city to look like Tijuana, we should show multiple sides. We don't need to reproduce what Mexico looks like. We need to say we are diverse and not everything is bad. But if we want to make this city look like Mexico or Tijuana, what's the point? We're not living in Mexico or Tijuana. Why can't we show the city with all the multiple fruits that we grow, all the different variety of produce, that any and everything that benefits the city, rather than deflecting onto something where somebody is mistreated as a child? We were totally driven out of business, and there's nothing in the books that deflects that. Nowhere. It's always poor me, and it's just amazing how lopsided this city is. And I'm sad to say, 35 years, 34 years, however long it's been, it seems that we are narrowing our focus to only reflect one side of the story. And I'm just saying, as a city, it seems as if we should broaden the horizons, and rather than making it a racist, we could make it about everyone. Everyone would be acknowledged and represented in this art. And the last thing, if they're so interested in the city, why is there such a hefty fee, $16,000 for the artist? That to me seems if it's another job. They're looking for profit rather than benefiting the city with just a mural or artwork. That's my problem with it.
Thanks for your input. You already talked, ma'am. Thank you. Do we have give everybody a chance?
What it is.
Did
but
you see a picture of it, ma'am?
That's what I
Go,
don't understand.
go ahead and
I'm
take a
just
look
hearing-
at it, and there's nothing that I see that's
I mean, I
overtly
just
political
see-
about it.
From what I hear, someone said it's kids reading a book and,
The monarch butterfly.
okay, so, okay.
City
So
clerk, can you get city clerk's getting a picture of it.
trying to understand.
Thank you, city clerk. There's a picture of the mural on the agenda item, so she's going to show it. There it is.
So, in looking at that, Mr. Morrow, you said that you were, what was the word? I'm sorry?
So
In
it's
political?
not there. It's the description that they're showing in the actual application.
Oh, in the application they turned in.
Part. Yeah, it's not, I don't have anything against there. It's more of what else can be thrown in there that will look at what the application says. So it's not the picture itself, it's what
Well, then maybe they can work on rescinding that or
mhm.
explaining that a little more, because what I'm seeing, I think that's beautiful.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
it's for the children, it's for, the Boys and Girls Club. I live on the west side, and I mean, I think it's beautiful. I think it's a great thing for the kids to see. It's a great thing for the kids to be involved in. We haven't had anything on the west side for our kids in years. I was born and raised on that side of town. I won't move. I'll stay there forever. So, I mean, I think it's beautiful. I don't see, but I say all the little things, like maybe like bending that and maybe being a little bit more, clarify a little bit more about it, and leaving race and beliefs and Christianity or whatever people want to bring into it. I say leave that out of it.
We're trying to work something towards the kids here.
There are going to be as many interpretations as there are people looking at the
Exactly,
mural, but that's
exactly.
up to the person looking at it. Just looking at it
I
from
mean,
here,
this is the
it's
first time I've
nice
seen
and
it. That's
bright.
why
and
I didn't know what I was seeing, but
It
me
improves on
looking
what it
at
looks like right now.
Yeah, I
Makes it look
see
better.
children reading, I see beautiful butterflies, I see flowers, I see plants growing.
The
I
political
see
stuff is
farm
just-
people working labor. I mean, it's beautiful.
So I'm gonna read what the recital talks about, and this is where it didn't settle right with me, right? So the client is us, right? I believe we're the client, but it says client agrees with mission of 559, agrees with the mission of 559 to address racial injustice and social economic inequalities. And the owner of the mural site and desires to commission the construction of the mural at the mural site. That's the problem. That's the issue that
And
was
who turned that in? Did you?
the,
guys?
yes.
Okay, is there maybe something you can? It's-
Yolanda, can you address the council?
No, no,
Go
I know.
talk to
I'm
them.
just trying to say, like, I now, when you're
get what
reading
you're
it,
saying,
I
but it's just a
understand it a
mural.
little bit.
So-
But are they willing to, and I'm addressing you, are they willing to,
And,
like
and
I
you're,
said?
you're out of time. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We
I
got to
know,
say
but I'm
goodnight,
just-
but thank
I'm
you.
Trying to understand.
I get what you're saying. We'll continue this. If you-
Okay.
Thank
so
you.
maybe-
Appreciate that. Move along. I think we've kind of heard a lot of the positions. Ms. Salas, do you have some input?
I have a question. Is the UFW symbol going to be on there or not? It's not. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, all that stuff, all that qualitative description, okay. But for me, it's something bright and nice for the kids to look at that go to the Boys and Girls Club, that use it, the homeless folks that get food out there, and it makes the place look nicer. And you can have all your political jargon. I just think it looks nicer. And in terms of what we're hearing from Pastor Anderson, I hear what you're saying. There's viewpoints for everybody, but look around you, sir. Look around you. We've got Caucasians here, we got Sikhs here, we got Mexican Americans here, we got everybody here. That's Selma, right? And we're all having a civil discussion here. This is why I love this town. And I'm the first elected mayor. Look at me, right? It's great. It's great to be in Selma, and I feel so accepted and I feel part of the town. That's why it's my adopted hometown. Maybe not my natural hometown, but it's my adopted hometown, and it's Roses. So enough of that. Thank you. Thank you for letting me speak like that. Okay, so we'll bring it back. We have callers now. Okay.
Oh,
And another speaker. Let's hear the callers and then we'll go to the speaker.
Hello,
Yeah, you're on, sir.
my name's Jose Moreno. I'm calling from 1413 Burnham. I just wanted to lend my support to the 559 mural project about this mural. It's great to have art in the community, and the best thing about art is that it's subjective. Like, not everybody's gonna like it. That's part of what art is. And different people will take different things away when they observe art. That's the beauty of it. You take.
You're cutting out.
Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Great. The point that Blanca made about social inequities in the community. Do you not think there are social inequities in Selma? Do you not think there are social inequities in the Central Valley? All that's saying is that this is the standpoint where the mural's coming from, and it's representative of the people that live in that community who have definitely seen a depletion of resources, but also the depletion of education with another school closing. So that's what this mural speaks to. It's educate to elevate. The reason it's called that is so that education can help even the playing field for a lot of people. And that's why it's there. And that's what this is. It's like a dream board when you see visions of what you could potentially be. You could potentially be a doctor. You could potentially be a chef. That's what this mural is. It's to give inspiration. It's not to politicize. It's not to say we believe in this and the city believes in this. It's not that at all. It's saying we understand and we see you. That's the biggest part of equity that a lot of people don't understand. I see you and I hear your struggle. And that's what this mural significance. Like, you have to see that. And of all people, Blanca, you should probably know how that feels. So I appreciate your input, but I think you're getting lost in the politicized message of it when it carries something bigger than that. Like having inspiration for a community that's been left behind is much more than a UFW sign or minimizing what they go through by saying it looks like Tijuana. Come on, we could do better than that as a community. So I fully support what they're doing. I fully support this mural, and I feel like it'd be a great activity for the kids to get involved in. And it's a community project, which we need on that side of town, which we need on a lot of parts of town, where kids can come out and collaborate and feel free to express themselves. So thank you, council, for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have anyone else on the line? Good, Jim. We'll get to you after the next comment. You go ahead and come on up.
Hi, caller
Should be
Sam,
one.
your line is open.
Okay, we'll listen to caller
Thank
Sam.
you. Thank you. This is Sam again, 1400 block of Huntsman. And I just want to say that absolutely when things become political, I don't know Yolanda, I don't know who she is, but she has a voice and she shouldn't be interrupted. And so what I'll say is we are absolutely going to voice our opposition when we reside here. It's not just a mural. If you are familiar with symbolism, you'll see the butterflies, which are in alignment with transgenderism views. I see a rainbow that's in alignment with homosexuality. So don't pretend like you don't see all of that. And if you don't know that stuff, then you should do your homework. I believe that we live in a country that offers us all the ability to succeed, and we don't need to keep pushing the opposite narrative. It's just going to keep on suppressing our children. If we keep allowing that to happen, they're going to start, let's just leave it at that. We don't need to keep ingraining all of the suppression into our children. It's ridiculous. We have activists that are infiltrating our cities, our communities, and our youth with quote unquote education on how we're oppressed. We're not. And we need to make our children stronger so that they don't end up being hooked on welfare and all these other things. The other thing that I'm sensing is critical race theory embedded deeply into this. Critical race theory is entwining its ugly, divisive roots everywhere. And I'm asking for you all to oppose this mural and make a recommendation for their efforts to be placed on private property instead. And then I must remind you of what happened with the whole pride flag thing. If this is going to be on government property, it
Can
should
you
remain.
keep the discussion on the mural, please, ma'am?
It is, and stop interrupting people. So especially when we'll be making a decision soon to be rid of you. So government property must remain neutral. And it makes me wonder if there's already a municipal code that covers something such as this. And again, I urge you all to respect your positions and do your due diligence in researching whatever needs to be researched before you move forward things that are so divisive such as this. Look at the symbolism. The symbolism is there, and people that know the symbolism will be attracted to it. And it's not something that all of the community supports. Thank you.
Everybody has a right to speak, folks, whether you agree with them or not. Mr. Avalos, did you have a comment? Avalos?
Jim Avalos, can you hear me?
No.
All right, Jim Avalos, 1701 Dinuba. The mural, young lady, admired you, okay?
Talk to us, Mr. Avalos.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, admired this young lady over here in the mural, but on the mural, and also I heard, you know, the gentleman over there, and I like the mural, but the other issue is this valley is diversified. You know, I want things that are diversified in our community. You know, and the reason why I'm saying that, I'm a diversified person as well, and I want every culture on that mural to be on there. Not just one-sided. I want, because who we are on the planet Earth and who we are in this valley. We're Italian, French, Chinese, whatever, Japanese. We're people in our valley here that worked here, came to Selma and everything. Armenians and stuff like this, Indians and all this. We're all diversified in our culture here in our community here. I think we should develop a mural which shows that who we are, you know, not just one-sided. You gotta show all sides in our life. And that's all I gotta say, young lady.
Thank you. Thanks for your input. Sir?
Mayor and respected council members, I know I didn't come here for there's another agenda that we won't talk about, but having lived here long enough and being of the Sikh faith, we practice our faith at home. We don't practice it in town. Don't go and tell everybody we're Sikhs. Yeah, we're proud of it. We practice at our temple. We practice it at home. We teach our children those lessons. At the end of the day, whether we like it or not, we live in a Christian community. We live in a Saxon society and Anglo-Saxon culture. But that does not make anybody less or anybody more appreciative. The fact that we're trying to drown the hopes and aspirations of young artists and kids who want to present a particular view. I'm not a big fan of the UFW. I'm a farmer. I know what problems we went to, our family and everybody else, but at the end of the day, we settled our differences and we moved on. Okay, UFW is not what it was, and it's not a problem like it was. We work with them, they work with us. It's just human nature to be contradiction. We're on the farming side and they were on the labor side. But having said that, we passed all that. And quite frankly, I don't know where Mr. Avlos is coming with. He's a good dear friend of ours, and he happened to belong to the Sikh faith at one time. His parents or grandparents did. You cannot have every bloody individual on a mural to involve every aspect of life, okay? Let's do this, compromise. And I'll put 500 up for the kids here because I do support this kind of initiative for myself. I'm not talking to my Indian, my Abby friends. That's their prerogative for the temple. Let them do their mural at their site, which is predominantly Hispanic, with Hispanic flavor. And if Jim and the other gentleman who happened to be a pastor, I was surprised at his views, but that's his entitlement to live in this country and express them like that. Why don't they put another mural in another part, maybe Country Rose, or in that part that depicts that being of Selma and this being the mural that we have by your office? That's a beautiful one. It shows what Selma started with and what our roots are and who we are. At the end of the day, if you want to make it all inclusive, everybody's opinion matters and views matter, and let's respect that and go forward with that. If the kids and they want to do the project, let the kids enjoy, let them have their flavor there. If somebody wants another mural, maybe commission another one over there. But at the end of the day, that's not my purpose of being up here. My purpose is to go with my brothers at the Sikh temple. After hopefully we get to that message, because I'm getting hungry in the meanwhile.
You.
Love
Sure.
I just want to clarify that we are not making a profit. We're a nonprofit. And to his point about making murals and what the work takes, I am not getting enough funding. This is all grassroots. And after this mural and a mural in Delray, I have to close shop because we don't have funding. I would love to partner with all the different communities that are in Selma, but we can't do that because as we made the video, I don't know if you've seen the video, art gets cut. And yes, I know that Selma is an inclusive town, or we try to be, but the majority is Latino. I'm focusing on the barrio. I am Latina. I am also gay. I also have a hereditary condition. I am myself, I'm a very diverse person. And this, as Jose said, you know, it shouldn't be political, and just understand the history. And yeah, that we're trying to address inequities, and we can't really fight that they don't exist, and that the underlining issue has been, as much as everybody wants to deny it, is racism and white supremacy. But this is for the children, and I want them to take pride in it, and I think that they will, and I think you all should approve it because I think this is going to be a positive. And art, the point of our organization and mission is because art is supposed to like start conversations about these difficult topics. And look, we're already talking about it. So let's get it on the wall and start having these difficult conversations, because that's a part of our mission. Is after the mural's done, we want to have a mural unveiling and have difficult conversations in a civil way. And hopefully we can have that if the mural is up.
Thank you. Do we have someone on online?
Hi, Michelle. Your line is open.
Thank you. Michelle Garza, 1705 Thompson, here in Selma, California. You know, it's a beautiful mural. And longtime resident of the west side of town. I don't know that many people can say that they have 6 consecutive generations living on one piece of property. I am blessed to say that. While the majority may be Hispanic, there are some Caucasian and there are some mixed families on this side of town as well. The focus on injustice might not be the best conversation for our town. For one time, I'm going to agree with our mayor, who indicated that Selma is a welcoming to all nationalities. We actually should be an example for those around us. The mural is not inclusive. It is inclusive for, I believe, the artist's point of view, trying to express her point of view. You know, minority works every way. I had 1 Caucasian child and 2 mixed Caucasian Hispanic children. They were all tortured in the Selma Unified School District because they were thought to not be Hispanic. So injustice works all ways. And I don't believe it's a city's responsibility to start that conversation in a child's public square. I'm asking that this cannot be more inclusive, that it be rejected. The last thing we need is people dividing further. And this, I mean, totally, young lady lost me at white supremacy. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. That's enough.
People actually
Ma'am,
here know where the
ma'am, we're
barrio
not-
is.
We're not gonna have this discussion. This is
Do
about
I
a
know where
mural.
the barrio
Excuse me.
is? I live in the barrio.
Excuse me, Ms. Garza, you've had your time. Ms. Garza, on the
On the
line,
phone.
Michelle Garza, you're Ms. Martinez. Thank you. We'll be respectful, and I would appreciate if you would return the favor. So with that, we've had enough discussion. Discussing a mural. Okay, one more, and then that's it. And we're gonna vote on this, right? Council good with
ready to
voting on
vote
this after
now.
this? One more speaker, and that's it, on the line. Serena?
Hi, Council. This is Serena Resendez. I'm with the 559 Mural Project. I am co-founder and I also grew up in Selma. Selena and I were classmates. I just need to say that, you know, we are so excited. We, like Brandy mentioned, we did take the time to get the community's input and, you know, at various points and to get the community involved in the Vadio. You know, we are putting the mural up specifically and strategically in the Vadio to address, you know, inequities and, you know, I believe it's City Council Member Blanca. You know, I appreciate that, you know, you know, the privilege that you had not to experience these inequities or discriminations, you know, but that was your experience. And, you know, growing up in Selma, you know, maybe I didn't experience that to the fullest degree that, you know, many other people do, but that doesn't diminish their experience nonetheless. And so it wasn't until I, you know, grew up and was exposed and became aware and more educated of, you know, the oppression that does exist in the world. My eyes were opened, that I was able to, you know, become aware and, you know, have a sense of the real world and why things run and work the way that they do. I believe the mural is so beautiful. and it is about the children. It's about, their hopes, what they can aspire to, their dreams, that whether whatever it is that they are hoping to aspire to, that they can do it. And I think that it'll just be a great way to get the community involved, the kids involved. I love to see the work at the Boys and Girls Club. I follow them on Facebook, and I think Ruby's doing an awesome job. I love to see the police officers interacting with the kids. And I think it'll just be a beautiful, like a bright, shining star in the Vadio where it's needed. That part of the town has been forgotten, and it is depleted, and I think it'd be great to start some restoration there. I'm not able to be as involved with the 559 right now. I'm in my master's program for social work, but I am still here, in the background, and we're not asking, the city to fund, the mural. We're going to do all the fundraising, but I do appreciate the city council member who did say that he was going to donate. I think that's awesome. And I just can't wait to see all the beautiful things that are going to come from this mural. And, art is, you take art and it just opens your eyes, and you take it for what it is and for your own meaning. So thank you for your time.
That will bring us back to council. Is there a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we've got a first and a second, so we can have discussion if anyone, council member, would like to make that.
The motion, but I wanted to remove that recital part because again, I see that it's holding the city as this is what our views are. And I get it, just the context of it is just not what I feel that the city needs to be saying in this recital. So I wouldn't mind approving it, but I would like to have that recital taken off.
Is the recital a part of the mural
As
on
part
the
of the
plate?
agreement.
Okay, so you're making a modified motion to take off the recital and just have the mural itself with the title of the mural? Is that what you're doing?
I don't want the city to be liable for this comment that says that the client agrees with the mission to address that. So that's where I have an issue, and I don't have an issue with the mural.
Okay, so the city is the owner. Who is the client?
The city.
Okay.
Right. And so the city is being asked to sign this agreement as well. And you have a motion pending with a second already. The motion maker would need to revise his motion if he was so inclined. Otherwise, you need to take action on the pending motion. If that fails, then you can do another motion.
Good with revising the saying. Okay, so I'll revise my motion to take, okay, did you want to? Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say that, I've been listening to everybody, and I really appreciate everybody's, remarks. But at the same time, I just want to bring back a point back in 2012 or 14 when we were building, Mr. Mayor, that part, or the first art center that came to the city of Selma, and the mayor's building was painted. And Vicky, they were all doing this, and the community was, all in supportive. We were supporting this. I lent my building to become the art center while they were building the art center. The mayor had a lot of knowledge, and we had a lot of paintings, and people were really excited. So when we start talking about, just pointing fingers and dividing our community, it's not us. That's not who we are. So I just say that because I'm not, I know that my comments will dictate someone to say something negative, and that's just the way, that's the tenure of our community. But at the end of the day, we are Selmans. We all love Selma. We may have a different opinion of myself or anyone else, but at the end of the day, we all love Selma. So, and that's why I said I would donate some money, but I'm just saying that I would like for everybody just to, before you say something in direct to a council member or to anybody, I was taught that you respect the person in front of you how they respect you. And at the same time, I just ask you guys to come together and, if you have a different opinion of anyone, speak to that person, but at the end of the day, we're here for the kids. We're here for the community. We're here to love our community. And that Mr. Mayor, I'm with,
Yeah, I look at the mural too. I look at it as something for the kids. I don't look at it as political. It's nice. It's creative. It's going to inspire the kids to explore their artistic. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I'm very proud of all our murals in Selma, and they are diverse. They're not just about one
unit. And I have a mural on my building. It's Asian. So you cannot say is only one artist. To me, murals are artists. Interpretation is up to everybody to interpret what they like it or not. Some like it, some don't, but that is their choice. Mural is expression. And I think it should, be able to explain or express yourself. And like you say, our city has the most mural out there, and they're artistic murals, okay? They're not just painted things that you can color in. So I'm very proud of all our murals in Selma.
So I'll make a revised motion to strike
The client
that
agrees.
passage
Mhm.
but still have who the artist is, the title of the mural, and any description of the mural like we have in the other murals in Selma. Is there,
And again, just to clarify, I don't have an issue with the mural. It's because it's on city property. That's the reason why is I want this
but
part
that's the
that
only reason we're
client
here tonight
agrees.
talking about it. So that's why we're here. Okay, so is there a second to that revised motion?
I'll make a second.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Mayor Robertson,
Yes.
Councilmember Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho.
Yes.
Okay, with that, thank you for the great discussion. Very interesting. And sir, we passed the item you may have been looking for, Harry, earlier on
Harry?
consent. So you can go to dinner anytime you want.
I
You're
was waiting
good.
for you to tell him. That was approved a long time ago.
Say something. Remember you wanted to go up and
But
say
we do have oral communications coming up at the end if you want to weigh in on any topic. The next item is consider extending the stay of enforcement regarding the removal of an illegal on-premises advertising display at 1630 Second Street. We're done. It did.
There we go. Wait till this horse and pony show up.
I thought you stayed for the good discussion.
I don't know about that.
Dog
He probably
and
could have
ponies.
skipped it. He did.
That's
though, he
right.
did. It was really
Into the
good.
mural.
Oh, he's such a great.
Can we keep it down, please? We're trying to have the last discussion. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Bye-bye, you guys. Mr. Terry, can you hold off just a minute while the folks clear the room? Okay, Deputy City Manager, thank you for that.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. Rob Terry, Deputy City Manager. Before us tonight is item number 3, which is considering either the extension or a stay of enforcement regarding removal of an illegal on-premise advertising sign display at 1630 Second Street, or the extension of the removal of that. Just a little bit of history on the item. Back on November 1st of 2021, there was a public hearing held by City Council in regards to removal of this sign. At that time, the council wanted to extend or to allow the property owner 90 days to be able to address the item here and come forward with plans for potentially a project that would either utilize the sign or would remove the sign and replace it as part of their project moving forward. There was limited conversation had between planning staff and the property owner, potential applicant, prior to February 7th. And then despite repeated attempts by staff to continue conversations with the property owner, unfortunately, there has not been response or an application that has been submitted to the city for a project that would eradicate this, this sign at this time. As such, staff is returning after the various extensions that had been given up to this time to seek council's direction on either moving forward with the abatement and removal of the sign at this time, or receiving council's direction for there to be any additional extension to the amount of time that would be allowed for the property owner to respond to application for something on this location here. Just to be clear, if the city were to move forward to be given direction from council today to move forward with removal of the sign, and it was city forces or a contract service that was utilized to do that, then those costs would be assessed against the property as a lien. So that gives a little bit of background there. We deliver that staff direction on which.
So what you're saying, if I could summarize it, is the city gave this property owner every opportunity to respond to its order to abate that nuisance. And there was absolutely no response, and there has been no follow-up since then. Unlike some of the other locations where the property owners have attended the meetings on Zoom and said at least that they're working on it and they're trying to make progress. That hasn't happened in this
There have
case.
been limited communication, but nothing that resulted in an actual application or any intent to move forward with anything that would address.
Okay, but that does,
If I may just add to that, the owner of the property did pay an application fee and submit a partial application. We have not been able to obtain a completed application, which we have been unable to move forward on
how
the
long ago was
project.
that, city manager?
I believe the last time that I brought it back was in November, if I'm not mistaken.
February.
February, okay.
Correct.
Well, and before that was when he had paid the fee, which I think was November. So February of this year, it was extended an additional 60 days, which brings us to the point where we are now.
And if we vote yes on this, what happens to move this forward?
If you were to give staff direction to move forward with the abatement, then we would immediately begin the process to actually have the sign removed. We would either work directly with city staff if available to do that removal, or go out and contract with a service that would do the removal. Those costs associated with that removal would be placed as a lien against the property.
Got it, thank you. Okay. Do we have any comments from anyone here tonight on this agenda item?
I live right there. Those need to go. This guy's had plenty of time to resolve the issues. You've given him notices. This has just been way too long. So I'm hoping you guys can move forward with this and do something and get rid of it. It's an eyesore for the freeway, for just in that area in general. You know, I've been dealing with it every time I'm in that, well, I live on the west side, so I see it a lot. And it really needs to go. We need to clean up that area. We need to try to do something else with it, let another business come through. But I mean, I think it's been long enough. Hope you guys
Thank you
can
for
make
that.
a decision to just move forward with it.
Thanks for your input. Do we have anyone on Zoom? Oh, we have another speaker.
Just for clarification, first
We
off,
just hear your name. Yeah.
Louis Franco, 1064 Mill Street. Just for clarification, what property is this exactly, the location, 1630 Second Street?
1630. Do we have a map that we could bring up to show? President?
We didn't have a map that was part of the staff report on this one here. That is directly on the west side of the Second Street off ramp off of the 99. So we can pull up
Directly off
Google
there.
Earth.
It would be off the northbound off ramp on the right-hand side as you're exiting the freeway.
Is that clear, sir?
Pull up Google Earth and take a quick look at it.
Well, that's what I did. I pulled up, I Google Maps it and it doesn't show that location, but I thought that was the previous location was being discussed. So I don't know if my phone was incorrect or it was posted wrong in the agenda.
Okay. Was it posted incorrectly or? is
The
this
correct
incorrect?
address is 1630 Second Street. Google may have an error. So if we go further down to the freeway on that Google map that Mr. Terry is.
I think what Google Earth is pulling up there when you plug that in would be 1630 East Second
Yeah.
Street. And that is an error on Google's behalf.
Right. It's picking up the other side of the street.
The other side.
Yes, it's not the chamber office.
So it's those three pillars that are on the left-hand side on this photo.
The northbound.
Be the other one.
On the other side?
No, 1630 is this one. This is.
Northbound is that one.
Mhm.
You're
That's
going
northbound
northbound
off ramp.
towards Fresno.
I have a couple questions.
We have a couple questions from Councilmember Trujillo.
I have a question with you. I know that he had come to us and he had asked us and he had pulled a permit. He was going to do something about a Starbucks and things like that. What was the dialogue that you guys had in the past, the last conversation? Was he still?
I have not had an opportunity to have any interaction with the applicant despite efforts up to this point. So I would have to defer to staff that was here prior to the time when.
Sure. And I can answer that. The plan was for a convenience store, gas station, Valero with a Starbucks drive-through. And Mr. Mendrin, the property owner, was going to purchase the residential property on the backside adjacent to that commercial property to be able to accommodate that development. We received renderings of the proposed project and a preliminary site plan. We had questions and concerns about the amount of parking on the site. Caltrans had not weighed in on the proposal because it is within their right of way. But we just haven't been able to finalize the site plan because the application wasn't complete. We don't have environmental analysis that's been completed on the project. So all of that is necessary before we can even begin to review.
Could a decision tonight to move forward maybe be a little bit of incentive for Mr. Mendrin to move forward on this? Would there still be an opportunity for the city to abate the abatement?
Well, it just depends on how quickly staff can obtain bids and secure a contractor to remove the sign.
He would be informed of the council's decision after this, and he may even be watching tonight. Okay. But not participating, right, City Clerk? Okay, so we have Mr. Mendrin on the line. Do we have any more council comments, or can we go to Mr. Mendrin at this time? Okay, Mr. Mendrin.
Are you there?
Here.
Can you hear me on the phone? Can you hear me on the computer?
You sure can.
Okay, because you have a different system. It's kind of different now. Anyway, I am moving forward with it. We're in the midst of choosing the companies we want to use for CEQA and going through a bunch of stuff with Valero and Starbucks. And I did pay the $22,000. That wouldn't be like I'm not doing the project. That's what they're going to put the signs on. And I do have a contract now with Valero, and the one for Starbucks is just about ready to sign.
Have a copy of those contracts? Can the city be furnished with a copy of those contracts, Mr. Mendrin?
Yeah. Yes. I'll ask them if
Director
they-
Terry, have you reached out to Mr. Mendrin?
I have not had personal communications.
Okay. So is there a problem with giving Mr. Mendrin additional time to get the contracts in? How much time do you anticipate needing, Mr. Mendrin?
Well, the contracts probably take 30 days to finish up. So if we go 60 days, that would be good.
Okay, so you say 60 days, and then if it comes back and nothing's gone forward, then we'll be in the same situation we are in tonight.
Yeah, well, you'll have contract. I mean, I have my communication is with them that I'm moving forward. They know I have the project. They like it. They want it.
So you just need to see confirmation, right? Written confirmation that you are moving forward and there's a project.
Yes, I can send you LOIs. I can send you LOIs or anything you want. These things just don't happen overnight. I don't know if you guys are businessmen or not, but it takes time. And plus now on the funding of this
I
project.
appreciate your question, sir, and it's irrelevant. However,
I know.
we're representing our city, and the sign you have there, which has been there for years, is a blight on our city and doesn't look good. So that's why we're here, and that's why we're having this discussion and devoting city time towards that, Mr. Mendrin. Do we have a council comment?
I understand that, but
I'm sorry, sir. We have a council comment at this moment.
All right.
I have a question. If we go to procurement and, get bids to remove that, will that take 60 days? Can we do that parallel to him processing?
Potentially, it just depends on who gives us proposals, but I could see 60 days being sufficient for us to be able to get bids.
That way we could do it at the same time so that if he doesn't bring in what he needs to bring in, then we've already not lost another 60 days. you know, to move forward in removing it. Because I would be, you know, open to that option.
And then still bring it back to council because the contract with the contractor would have to be brought to council for approval.
I mean, are we really gonna use very limited, as we've seen tonight, city staff to do this, to move forward with a contract when he sounds like he's moving forward on
Yes,
this at this time?
And besides that, I would tear it down
It's gonna abate. I mean, yeah, I mean, Mr. Mendrin, you hear the exasperation in the council, and I really hope you don't mistake this additional time if the council grants that by majority for us just being strung along. We want performance on this, and we wish you all the best, and we hope your project goes forward, but we're at the end of our rope. The people that we represent, you heard the comments tonight, and we're very hopeful that your project does move forward. So with that, we'll bring us back to council. Do we have any more input? Do we have a motion to give Mr. Mendrin another 60 days and then bring this back?
And I did the forms today.
Sir, we're discussing.
I
Okay,
make a motion to give them 60 days.
okay, is there a second?
I make a motion it's June 6th.
Make a motion to continue.
And can I say a comment real quick? If
Let's
you
get,
did-
we need a
okay.
second and then you can.
I want to revise the first, as long as we do it at the same time, getting the bids in the event that 60 days comes and there is no movement with the business, then we have a bid of how much it's going to cost to take those nuisance signs down. So I think that's being fair because we've worked with Mr. Mandrin. We've given him additional 90 days, 60 days, 30 days. I mean, we keep going and going. We kind of have to finally put our foot down. So I'd like to revise that.
So you have a motion pending and you needed a second. It would be up to the motion maker to revise it or withdraw.
I guess my comment before I do any of those, I guess my comment would be that I understand the frustration also that our staff is, you know, we've had limited staff and the fact that we have a business owner that that's paid $20,000. I'm hard pressed to tell myself that the guy didn't just want to throw $20,000 away. So I would recommend that we give him the 60 days, and after we do the 60 days and he hasn't produced anything, any contact, I think it's very important, Mr. Mandarin, that you see that some of the council members here are really, just myself also, are really thinking that, you know, there has to be communication and dialogue between staff and yourself. And just any kind of dialogue would actually move it because we are, you know, we do want to move this project along with you, but I think the council really wants to you know, move forward. So my motion would still stand just as is, but at the same time, after the 60 days, we would gather our resources, our staff to do that because of our limited staff right now.
So that motion still stands. Is there a second to the original motion? Okay, that motion dies for a lack of second. Is there a second to the amended motion to accept to give Mr. Menrin 60 days, however, to simultaneously get bids for the abatement of that sign? I'll second it. I'll second that motion. Can you call the roll, please?
It's to June 6th.
To June 6th. And then a question, is there any way to financially tie these things to something like that bond for America's Tire Depot? You know, that pays off in a year if the sign isn't built. Is there any way to bond this so that there's some sort of third-party guarantee that the sign gets taken down? Or is it just something the city has to move forward on and abate and then bill the owner for it?
Our municipal code is pretty clear that the lien is basically our security. So whenever whenever the property changes hands, that lien has to be paid before it does change hands.
All right, so I'll reaffirm that second. Could you call the roll, please, City Clerk?
Councilmember Guerra,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo, Mayor Pro Tem Cho.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, we will move on to departmental reports. City manager?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Just a quick update on some items that were requested by council to provide updates on. The police chief recruitment will begin as soon as we execute the agreement with RGS. There's also a request to provide an update on the police station. The damage that was done from the accident that occurred on Mill Street. We finally got approval from our insurance group to move forward with the work. About $18,000 worth of damage to the building itself. Then there's a light pole that's also going to cost about $7,000 to replace. So all in all, we're looking about $26,000.
PG&E.
That I don't think it will involve. I think it's more of a structural thing. Good question, though. And so we finally got approval today. And then we're working on identifying some options for a prominent plaque outside of the police department to honor our everyone who was involved with that project at the request of council. We do. I wanted to say, you know, speaking of the police department and our public safety personnel, I want to say how thankful I am to the staff for putting on a beautiful badge pinning and swearing in ceremony earlier last week. And, you know, the staff put a lot of work into that. And it gave the community, we had a great turnout at Lincoln Park. It gave the community a great opportunity to come out and express their appreciation to our fire department, our police department, our EMS personnel. So thank you to the staff, everyone who worked hard on putting that event together. And thank you to our public safety personnel. And as you can tell from the agenda and how thick and how many items were on it, our staff is working hard, our city hall staff, all of our department heads, our frontline staff. And I want to extend a big thank you to everyone who's part of the Selma team, because it takes a lot of work, a lot of coordination to bring this many items to council for approval. They're working extra hard. They're working overtime in many cases. And so I wanted to say thank you for all your hard work. That's all I have.
Thank you. Deputy City Manager Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to give the council a reminder of the CBTC graduation that we have upcoming. I know that that's a very big thing. We're very proud to see cohort 4 be able to graduate here, and a lot of city staff working very hard on that one. And want to also make sure that council understood that the request that had come at the last meeting for the mapping that has to do with developments that are going on throughout the city, that we are currently working on that item, and council can anticipate that coming back at their next meeting. And then you will be receiving it at least quarterly following that time, unless there's a different time period in which you wish to see it. So that was the direction. Know what I'm talking about, Mayor? I seem to be getting a look that's confusing you.
Yeah, I thought we were on track for getting that quarterly that GIS presentation pretty soon here
Yes.
of economic development in our area, right?
Yes.
Okay.
correct. Yeah, just I refer to it as a development map.
Oh, got it.
The planning project map is, I think, is what Mr. Terry is referring to.
Yep. Thank you.
Nothing to report, Mayor and Council.
Okay. Public Works Director. Thank you. Fire Chief Peterson. Thank you. Acting Police Chief Garza. Something.
I do have several items to report. Good evening, Mayor and Selma City Council members and the Selma community. First of all, I'd like to start off by once again acknowledging our men and women of the police department. They work hard every day. They risk their lives every day, just like the fire department. I am proud to say that we are operating above minimum staffing, which is great. Which minimum staffing is 3 officers and a sergeant. We are operating above that, so I'm very proud to report that. Now, there are some times where we do operate at minimum staffing, and that's just because sometimes we have officers out on vacation or we're sending officers to training. Training opened back up in the state of California, so we're sending officers to basic traffic investigators course, perishable skills training, supervisor coordinating courses, and there's just a a lot of a great training that's out there. And as you know, we have a lot of new police officers that and they're required to have so many hours of training a year. So we're proud that we're able to get that back up and running. I'll start off with the significant crime updates. As you all are aware, back on March 26, 2022 at about 12:25 p.m., officers responded to Selma Walmart parking lot in regards to a deceased person in a vehicle. At this time, we don't believe there's any criminal activity or no foul play. The case has been referred to the Fresno County Sheriff's Office, Coroner's Office. We're waiting for toxicology and waiting for the cause of death, and sometimes that takes a while to get back. But from what I'm being told by the investigators, it appears to be no criminal activity at this time. I'm not going to really comment in regards to the identity of the individual. And also on that day, it was a busy Saturday, March 26th. It was very busy. Officers did respond to a stabbing over at Schaefer Park during the softball games. That was very unfortunate. There was a lot of people around. And one of the things that I am going to look into, Councilwoman Guerra, is in regards to the individual, his status, if he was homeless. I will report that to the city manager. I don't have that information, and I'm curious as well if that individual was homeless or what his living status was. Regards to personnel, we have a new records clerk that will commence on April 18th. She is currently employed at another police department, and we are grateful to have her transfer to our police department and work as a records clerk. So we're very fortunate to get experienced individuals. And after she starts on the 18th, we will be fully staffed at our support services in regards to records and our CSOs. So that is great. As far as special events and activities, April 10th through the 16th is Telecommunications Week. We will be honoring a 911 dispatcher, so we'll be presenting her an award. I say her because they're all females that are working behind those computers and those phone lines every day, 24 hours. So hopefully we'll be able to present that employee in the near future at a council. Also, just a reminder, April 20th, Police Department will be hosting a neighborhood watch meeting in the Selma Louis Community Room at 6 p.m. Seating is limited, so if you are interested, please make reservations. You can call Sergeant Alejandro Alvarez, who is the neighborhood watch coordinator.
I'm sorry, Chief, which neighborhood is that for? Which area is that for? Is that just for all the neighborhoods?
Citywide.
Okay.
So our hopes is to obtain the city's input in regards to, or I'm sorry, solicit neighborhood watch captains for different areas in the city. That's what our main focus is for that meeting. And I believe it is on Facebook and it is on the city website as well. Also, lastly, I'd like to just point out that this past Friday, we were told, thanks to Mike Kirschner from the Recreation Department, that Walmart has awarded $5,000 to the Police and Fire Department to purchase a new UAV. UAV is basically a drone. So we're really proud about that. And the technology, technology's here. It's every day. So we got to be prepared for that. We do have a bunch of success stories in regards to our current UAV program, but I won't bore you with that. But that's all I have today.
Acting Chief, appreciate it. All right. Department, okay. That council reports, Councilmember Mendoza Navarro.
So I attended the swearing in ceremony for all of the police officers in the fire department, and it was really nice. It was a beautiful day. Thought we were going to have a little bit of rain there, but we were good. And just congratulations to all of them and welcome them. I attended through work, I attended a women in leadership panel discussion, and it was really good because, you know, there was a good panel. They talked about their shared experiences, their challenges, their opportunities, and it was a wide range of age groups, from, you know, young, like 20-something to older like me, maybe older than me. Also, I attended the Chamber of Commerce Annual Awards Banquet, and I wanted to echo what the POA president said about Chief Peterson. Thank you so much for taking the lead in the COVID. Just keeping up and reading all the stuff that needed to be read, and keeping us informed and updated on all of that. Thank you so much. I attended a meet and greet for one of the, I can't say this right, the people that are running for governor. I can't even say it. It was a nice meet and greet. It was held in Kingsburg. One of the, I'm not going to mention if it's a he or she, because I'm not trying to support anybody, but it's just, they touched on education, homelessness, and infrastructure. Also, I attended the WELLS 2022 conference, which was the Water Education for Latino Leaders. It was a really eye-opening experience for me, because they mentioned it a couple of times, is most of us don't know where our water comes from. We think that it comes from the tap, which it doesn't. You know, obviously it comes from, you know, the well. And so it was really educational information. And so I look forward to attending more of those. Also, through my work, I'm actually attending a Housing California 2022 conference. And basically it's a roadmap to a better California. And they touched a lot on homelessness. So there's going to be a lot in the next couple of days. I'm going to be learning. They have a few tracks on homelessness. Also, just wanted to point out that I got a call from, or a message from one of the families that lives off of Wright Street. They had like high speed, like they're speeding. I know that we've had these conversations before as far as speed bumps, but there was a car that sped right through Wright Street and actually hit their house. And the mom called me and told me that she was happy that her boys weren't home, because it actually ran into one of the bedrooms. And if it wasn't for a desk, a heavy duty desk that she had there in that corner, it would have done a lot more damage than it did. But I know that that's an issue throughout the neighborhoods about, and I know we've talked about it before, those speed bumps or those speed, you know, those, I don't know what they're called, the plastic, I know we can't do speed bumps, but that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Trujillo.
I also participated in the police and fire. It was really a really nice event. You guys did a really good job. Both of you did a really good job. It was really, the community was out there and it was really good support. So, you know, congratulations on that, on the way you guys handled yourself, and it was really nice. It was nice the way we all sat there together and we were able to see you guys give the awards. I also participated in the Chamber Award banquet. I think it was beautiful. I think you guys were able to, you guys got certificates and recognition. It was really proud moment to see Martin's Jewelers get the Citizen Award. He's done so much for the community. And, you know, the times I've met with him, he's a really good person. But I noticed one thing that happened that really made me really happy was that I noticed that the police department was awarded an award. And I noticed one of the officers got the award and he walked over and he gave it to you, acting chief. And that to me told me a lot that you guys are working together. That means a lot. The fact that everybody's talking and, you know, so I noticed that and that means a lot to me. So I just wanted to bring it out there to you guys, and I congratulate you guys for how you guys are handling yourself. Mr. Manager, I'd like an update on the Dinuba McCall light. Also like the update on the BID at downtown. One of the things I did was a couple of months ago, I met with Rob and city manager. We met with CID, and one thing he brought up was infill on the ponding basins. And I actually spoke to a couple of farmers around our city, and they were telling me that the importance of starting utilizing the ponding basins so we don't get a back charge or somewhat. So I'd like to see if maybe we can maybe entertain that discussion again with CID so we can maybe if anything, get ready so we don't get charged a fee, because I know that CIDs, I know that we entered an agreement with them, and I think that was a good agreement. I think, but I think we have a good communication now, and I think it's something we should actually put ourselves to go talk to them. Aside of that, Mr. Mayor, is good. Thank you.
Councilmember Guerra.
I also attended the badge pinning for fire and PD, and it turned out very nice. It was really nice to see the families and our community come out and support. I mean, it was amazing to see as many people we had out there. I think everybody was just kind of tired of being home and wanted to celebrate. So that was amazing, and thank the staff for coming together and putting on such a nice event. I kind of would like to see when we have a pinning like that, you know, it wouldn't take that much from our general fund to do a little more. I'd like to see a nicer, you know, maybe refreshments. You know, I know that PD had pizza, but I would have liked fire to also have the same thing. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but I think if we're going to do something, let's do it. Let's go all out. Okay. You guys deserve it. The staff deserves it. So I'd like to see that in the future. The other thing, I did attend the UHC meeting, and it was very nice to hear so much positive in regards to our COVID numbers that have decreased. And hopefully now we can start moving forward to our normal lives again. So that was great to hear. Other than that, that's pretty much it for me.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, I also attended the swearing ceremony, and that was really nice. I'm very, it's kind of nice to see you guys in uniform also. Yeah, and I say welcome to the new officers and the new firefighters. Attended the Chambers Awards dinner, and that's an annual one, and we do salute the special community members. Junior Citizen of the Year went to Mary Ellen Haig. Business of the Year went to Central Valley Engineering and Surveying. Educator of the Year went to Teresa Say. Distinguished Service went to Virginia Lee. And as Councilman Trio said, Citizen of the Year went to Harold Phillips. So all these were like deserving people, and we had a really good evening saluting them all. So that's a very good event. So that's all I did.
Thank you. I went to the badge pinning ceremony, the swearing in. It was well done. It was really a great, long overdue ceremony, you know, and I was amazed at the number of officers, specifically the PD officers, who were hired over a year ago, who were just getting their badges or just getting their pinning and just getting sworn. So that was very good. Nice to see so much community input on that, and a really nice job from the chiefs to organize all that. It was a great afternoon for Selma. I attended the Water Education for Latino Leaders Conference that was at Legends on Saturday. And yeah, I took a Saturday of my time to go there for that, to help educate myself on the water. And I got to deliver the introductory remarks, and I talked about how there was nothing going on in Selma in 2012 when I got on, specifically because CID had threatened the city with a lawsuit under CEQA if it did any kind of development. And that was because the city was dumping its storm drain water in the canals. And so as a result of, instead of just going at it and litigating, in 2012, the city sat down with Consolidated Irrigation District and hammered out an agreement, communicated. And as a result, the city got that recharge basin, which is north of Toyota and west of Toyota, called Rockwell Pond. And I think that's what the council member is referring to, Trujillo, about the recharge agreement that was hammered out. The city has to use that recharge, or the city will get penalized financially. And so the city has to get that water, what little of it there is at this point, from the storm drains. And that's why you hear us talking about conveyors and trying to get that last $3.5 million for the conveyor system to take that water from the storm drains out to the ponding basin which is south of the Boys and Girls Club, and to recharge that water. Very important. Water's now governed by these GSAs, which are these underwater maps of water, which Consolidated Irrigation System controls. They control the groundwater, called the Sigma. It's a region underground, and it's going to limit recharge. It's going to limit agricultural use of the land. It's a big deal, and the city is moving forward on that. And attending that water education conference was very important to learn more. And I encourage everyone to stay involved with the water issues, especially with the drought, because we are definitely in one again, and we're going to have to take action here. I delivered dictionaries with former Mayor Mike Durr to Eric White School, which was always nice. I attended a women's recognition panel at the Boys and Girls Club. Was talking a little bit earlier about having a conversation with Delphina and with Ruby out there. I got to watch my wife Rose talk along with high achieving women in the fields of fire, law enforcement, medical, business, and local involvement. And they spoke to the girls, it was all girls, at the Boys and Girls Club about, hey, you can do it too. It was inspirational, kind of like when you get rid of all the politics, about that mural that we looked at tonight. It's empowering, it was good, it was about what you can do, and it was a positive message, and that was a nice time to be there. So I really appreciated that. Speed bumps on, I completely agree with getting speed bumps eventually. I think it's important to do that. We've got too many speeders around our schools, and whatever we can do to limit that speed in the future, I think we need to revisit that. I think it's really important. And I remember going to a home over there in the area, actually a little south of that area, which had experienced, and this was several years ago, had experienced a drive-by, and wasn't speeding. It was actually getting shot at. And I walked up to him and I said, I looked at the door and there were bullet holes in the door. And this was the bad old days in Selma several years ago, and we did not have a lot of crime fighting going on. And I walked up there and they said, oh yeah, that's the bullet holes. And I just told my mom the code, which was drop. And that meant drop to the floor to avoid the bullets. So, and they said it kind of matter of factly, and that's sad. And I'm glad we're getting to that point where we're getting away from that. I'm not hearing as much about the drive-bys. And I think that's really important that we have that law enforcement and that public safety that makes people, really feel secure in their homes, because we haven't always had that in Selma. And with that, we will move on to our last oral communications. Does anyone have anything they would like to say at this time?
Hi, Teresa Salas. Next week is spring break, and the Kiwanis Club of Greater Selma sponsors the high school baseball tournament, which will be held on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. 2 locations, Selma High School and at Emmanuel High School. It's the 65th annual baseball tournament. The Kiwanis Club of Selma previously sponsored it, and then we took it over about 15 years ago when they ran out of manpower. So just inviting all of you, if anybody has any time and wants to go see the Selma High baseball team, the boys baseball team, it will be all day on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at Selma High and at Emmanuel High School.
Tonight, I represent Shar Tucker representing the Selma Chamber. I just wanted to say thank you to those of you who attended our Community Awards banquet. It was a beautiful evening, and I know our citizens that took the time to nominate these individuals for these awards and the award recipients, I know how much they appreciated your attendance. So thank you. We were honored to be able to mention our police and fire and to publicly thank them for all they do for us. So thank you for your support. The Chamber appreciates it.
Jim Avalos, 1701 Dinuba Street. I'm here to make a comment, guys. People that work for the city, I thank you guys for what you guys. And I admire that, okay? I admire that. But sometimes, also part two in life, council, people up here make comments. Sometimes they may not like them, but consider the source and consider the, use your common sense to make these decisions. Council and everybody. Because remember, on the council, we're here to serve the people, not to be served. Remember that. And when people get up here and make comments, I admire them, okay? Because I don't take it to heart. I evaluate what they say, because they're up here, they want to improve the city of Selma. Want to make a difference. They want to make it right. And sometimes they see things that you may not see, but they see them. And kind of have that vision. You can't have a closed mind. You can have your mind open all the time. And that's what I say here, like these public works and behind the scenes. You didn't see me. I was up in a tree. I didn't recognize you on your uniform. Jesus Christ. But overall, guys, first, I like the city of Selma because I was born here. I'm probably going to die here. God willing. But in life, but I want to make the city better. When I'm here, when I make these comments, I want you guys forward in the city of Selma to make the wisdom of decisions for the city, for the people. It's for the people. We're here to serve the people, not to be served. Okay. And it comes down from everybody that works for the city, from the city manager all the way down to the attorney. All make sure that the city's protected, make the right decisions and don't get the city in trouble. All right. So that's all I got to say, guys. You guys are doing a great job. Work hard, work together as a team. Sometimes we have differences, but understand, remember, common sense leads the right direction in our city. Thank you.
Have anyone on, we have another.
1057 Mill Street. I just want to say it was an honor to be at the pinning for the fire and police. I noticed that there was a lot of young men that were hired, and then all our other public safety officials, public safety officers that are protecting us. Are we any closer to getting any funding for the body cams to help protect them when they're in situations where they will have that kind of, help with cameras on body cams? I know that Valadale was working on it at one time. Have we gotten any updates on funding for that, for body cams? And again, thank you for everything public safety does for our city. Public safety will always be one of the number one areas that we should be supporting 100% always, to protect us, for our kids, for our families, for our business. And hopefully we could get some of that funding quickly to help our public safety. Thank you.
Do we have anyone on Zoom?
Hey, Mr. Reese, you had your hand raised?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So am I ready to address?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, Mayor and Council, there's been a house on the street of Wright in Alton. It's been over 2 years that has been in a condition of public nuisance. And I had sent a letter out about 1.5 years ago, and I was told through the letter addressing it to the city that that issue would be taken care of. And it took a while. Nothing was ever done. I sent that letter out. Nothing was ever done. I got a responding letter that they would take care of it, and still nothing has been done. And the issue was the house, the weeds, the appellated fence. They said the fence was okay, and I disagree. The fence is in shambles, and it can cause where people go in. And then shortly after that, maybe about 3 or 4 months ago, there was a fire and the house burnt down. Now, my question is, how long does it take for them to address about demolishing that building? You're concerned about a sign, but I'm concerned about the condition of the building there because it's fenced, but the cars are still there, which was told to me they were taken care of. They were never removed, and the house is in a situation where it looks bad to the neighborhood. Now, I don't know if that house went to the bank, but if the bank is in charge, I know if it went back to them, I know that you can do something about it by sending them a letter and having them address that issue instead of just being there as an eyesore. And there's a few other houses down the street in the same condition. I think that those situations should be addressed a lot faster instead of in such a lax time period to get those things done.
For your comments, city manager, is there code enforcement to be responding to that?
I can certainly look into that matter and provide an update to council.
Sir, did you want to leave some forwarding information after the meeting? Send an email to our city clerk with your name and your contact information, please, so we can get back to you on this. Okay, do we have another caller else who'd like to make a comment? Okay. With that, we'll bring it back, and I did omit the email that I did receive from the Congressman Valadeo's office about there being funding for body cams, which I related to the city manager, and he's looking into it in terms of an appropriation, federal appropriation. So there is money. Kings County, I think, received $440,000 for body cams. So that'd be something really positive if we can get there. Okay, with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. Appreciate it.